Lord of the Apocalypse. I start with a level 10 unit. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 226. Conquer more Tier 3 main cities at the same time. Other lords who entered the third block are also occupying the third level main city non-stop. None of them are fools. We all know that the number of Tier 3 main cities is limited after entering the third block. You should focus on capturing the third level main city. As for finding someone, it's not too late to stay in the last 2 days. So, on this day the third level main city in the third block is rapidly decreasing at the end of the day. Suyi had a remarkable record, occupying 666 level 3 main cities, and gained 900,000 points. Tom Wright, Takashita Jinsong and other lords have captured 444 level 3 main cities. Only Xiao Yi. He is estimated to be the weakest lord to enter the third block in one day. Only one third level main city was captured currently. The ranking of lords contest points is as follows. First place, Suyi, with 2.9 million points. Second place, Tom Wright, with 2.2 million points. Third place, Ali increased the price, with 2.15 million points. Fourth place, Takashita Jinsong, with 2.09 million points. Fifth place, Xiaoyi, with 1.9 million points. Sixth place, Kim Soo-hyun, with 1.82 million points. Seventh place, Suyi still ranks first, with points as high as 2.9 million, surpassing Tom Wright by 700,000. Of course, this is the reason why Suyi didn't add points to Sukainer and others along the way. All the occupied main cities were certified by Suyi, so he has the highest scores for Suzir and the others. They only have points for killing monsters with their own units. The sum is not low, more than 3 million. That's right, more than 3 million, an average of about 500,000 points per person. Adding up is not a small number. Chapter 341. Li Xinglan, Death, Third Watch for subscription. It was late at night, but today, Suyi did not choose to rest at night. Instead, after simply letting the troops recover their physical strength, they headed towards the 7th third level main city. It's still the same sentence as before. More and more lords have entered the third block now. The situation of more wolves and less meat has already appeared. Suyi didn't hold back either, decided to snatch as many third level main cities as possible in the last few days, and here, Suyi has an absolute advantage. A few days ago, Suyi had been paying attention to preserving the physical strength of the troops. To put it bluntly, he has never let his troops stay up all night. What does this mean? This means that his arms have always maintained the most peak physical strength, and now, it's time for them to come in handy. Fighting at night will increase the difficulty a lot, but to Suyi, it was not a big problem. Under Suyi's order, the troops set off to the 7th third level main city marked by Suyi today, taking advantage of the cover of night, attack the city directly. Not surprisingly, after more than 2 hours the main city was successfully captured. After completing the authentication, Suyi set off again, go to the 8th third level main city in the middle of the night. The news of the capture of the third level main city continued, which stimulated the nerves of the other lords. For example, Tom Wright. This guy is already competitive, but now that he entered the third block, he is attacking the third level main city like crazy, fear of being half a step behind others. So, that's what caused the current situation. Even at night, the third block is still brightly lit. All the lords are fighting at night with the lights on. On Suyi's side, he captured 3 third level main cities in a row, and then rested on the spot to let the troops recover their strength. Although he also chose to continue fighting at night, but it's not necessary either. Capturing the third level main city is nothing more than trying to occupy a few more pits rather than being taken away by others. It is better to keep it for yourself the next day. The battle continues now as the 8th day of the opening of the event Secret Realm. More and more lords have entered the third block. For example, Zhang Xianaya, Kim Soo-hyun, and almost all the top 20 lords in terms of points have entered. The era of more wolves and less meat has finally returned in the third block. The number of third level main cities is only 100. More than 2/3 have now been paid. The remaining third becomes the last resource. The main city in the event secret is different from the usual resource points. Once captured and authenticated, it can no longer be robbed. Besides, even if you snatch it, it's useless. It's just an empty city. There are no monsters and nothing else, and if you can't get any points, who would do such a thankless thing? Therefore, the lords don't need to worry about the ownership of the main cities they occupy. There are less than 30. All the lords are mad. A frenzied attack began. Suya is also one of them. He's in a pretty good place right now. There are 3 third-level main cities that are 3 distance away from him. Just give priority to taking these 3 tier 3 main cities. Pick one at random and go straight away at the same time. A certain location in the 3rd block. Xiao Yi is fighting here with his remaining 30,000 troops while scanning the battle situation ahead. Xiao Yi opened the map of the 3rd block. Count the remaining 3rd level main cities that have not yet been breached. There are 23 left. Damn it. I am the 2nd lord to enter the 3rd block, but now Xiao Yi gritted his teeth, with resentment in his heart because of the disadvantage of the number of his own arms. Although he was the 2nd lord to enter the 3rd block, he did not get the reward he deserved. It is currently ranked 6th. When you are complaining that God is unfair to you, the army attacking the city ahead was defeated again. Withdrew towards this side. Their physical strength is seriously depleted, and if they continue to fight, their casualties will increase dramatically. This is not a result Xiao Yi can afford. Therefore, a proper retreat is the only tactic against Xiao Yi. The army withdrew from the battlefield. Xiao Yi found Li Xinlan and asked the latter to prepare for the troops to recover their strength. At this moment, Li Xinlan's complexion is pale, even his hair has lost its luster, and he looks as if he has aged more than 10 years. She looked at the earnest Xiao Yi, and hesitated to speak. Xiao Yi sensed Li Xinlan's strangeness, and hurriedly asked, "What's wrong?" Li Xinlan coughed lightly and looked directly into Xiao Yi's eyes. "Can't you really give up?" Xiao Yi seemed to know what Li Xinlan was going to say, and shook his head firmly. "As long as there is still hope, I will never give up." Li Xinlan sighed softly, nodded to show that he understood Xiao Yi's meaning. "Get up and walk towards the place where the soldiers are assembled and repeat the previous action. And start to recover the physical strength and energy for the soldiers." Dots of light sprinkled from her slender hands, and the milky white halo fell on the soldiers below. Their physical strength is recovering. This process should last at least an hour. Xiao Yi watched from behind with complicated expressions in his eyes. After an unknown amount of time, Li Xinlan, who was casting a spell, suddenly stopped and fell down straight. Xiao Yi, who was discussing tactics with the lords, noticed a movement here. His face changed, and he ran towards this side quickly. By the time he felt the scene, Li Xinlan had already been helped up by 2 female job changers. The 2 are crying pear blossoms with rain. Seeing this, Xiao Yi's heart skipped a beat, and an extremely ominous premonition came to his mind. "What's wrong with the deputy leader?" Xiao Yi asked. The 2 female job changers looked at each other, and one of them tremblingly said, "The deputy leader and the deputy leader are not breathing, as if they have passed away." Xiao Yi was furious when he heard the words, and slapped the female job changer away. "Nonsense, it's impossible." As he spoke, he threw himself down in front of Li Xinlan. He stretched out his hand to check Li Xinlan's breath. Sure enough, it was peaceful there, and there was no air coming in or out. Chapter 227. Then Xiao Yi checked Li Xinlan's attribute information. The result is that Li Xinlan's health has been reset to 0. She is dead. Chapter 342. A hero, or a beast without humanity. One more subscription. Li Xinlan, at the age of 32 years old, the cause of death should be excessive fatigue, continuous use of talent skills in a short period of time, resulting in damage to the soul. The release of talent skills this time is the last straw that breaks the camel's back. Successfully exhausted Li Xinlan to death. Xiao Yi, who noticed this, couldn't accept this reality. He suddenly realized that he was not too strong. "I have always asked Li Xinlan to work for me, but never considered Li Xinlan's situation and feelings." In other words, for Li Xinlan's current fate, Xiao Yi is entirely responsible for it. "I killed her," Xiao Yi murmured, holding Li Xinlan's body tightly with both hands. His back trembled slightly. The surrounding lords and job changers looked at this scene with solemn expressions, all speechless. 10 minutes passed. Only then did Xiao Yi put Li Xinlan's body down. His eyes have regained their indifference. He stood up and scanned the surrounding lords. "The deceased is gone. I am saddened by the death of the deputy leader, but our journey must continue. Hurry up and gather the army to continue the attack." Xiao Yi's voice was deep and deep, with unquestionable persistence. This made the surrounding lords feel a little bit tingling. They already knew that Xiao Yi was a ruthless person, but I didn't expect this guy to be so ruthless. "What the hell? Li Xinlan is your wife. You have exhausted your wife to death, but now you are still thinking about attacking the 3rd-level main city. Whether this kind of person is a hero or an inhuman beast." For a moment, all the lords hesitated, and stood still without any unnecessary movement. Seeing this, Xiao Yi became angry and shouted loudly, "Didn't you hear what I said? I order you to continue attacking." Xiao Yi's voice was so loud that it shocked many lords around. After a brief hesitation, they took action one after another, summoned their respective arms, joined together, and launched a fourth round of attack towards the third-level main city ahead. Xiao watched the army charge from behind with cold eyes. In order to win, he can give up everything. Among them is Li Xinlin. Wife, please bless me with your spirit in the sky. By the afternoon, Su Yi had captured 2 of the 3 main cities. Now we are moving towards the third non-stop. The mighty army is heading all the way. About 30 minutes later, the army arrived at the destination. At this moment, the third-level main city that has not been captured appears at the end of Su Yi's field of vision. Standing on the plain, the 4 walls stand high to protect the safety of the city. On the city wall, densely packed defenders can be seen vaguely, making one scalp numb. Without much hesitation, the attack started. Directly as always, the dragon plays forward. Flower Fairy, Dragon Hunter, and Beast Summoner followed closely behind. Then came Lin Yangxi, Fang Yun, and Du and King Lian. 7th-tier troops. Nearly 100 times of combat experience made the units brought into the secret territory. This time all veterans. Rich combat experience even in the face of a 100,000 strong army defending the city. They are still methodical. The battle was going on without any haste. The dragons took the lead in occupying the city wall, opening gaps for other arms. The rest of the troops rushed in, entered the main city, and fought fiercely with the defenders. Everything is going on in full swing. But in the middle of the battle in the valley to the east, a large army suddenly appeared. It was rushing towards this side in a mighty manner. Zooming in, the leader of the Lord is the blonde and blue-eyed Tom Wright. This guy is also eyeing this third-level main city. After the last battle, he led his troops towards this side. As everyone knows, after arriving at a place, they found that the third-level main city had already started fighting. This made Tom Wright feel a little uncomfortable. The thing he likes is taken first by others. This is unbearable. Damn, it was taken first by others. Tom Wright cursed secretly. Hilly behind him raised his binoculars and looked towards the battlefield in the main city. When he saw the dragon flying in the sky, and other arms, he frowned. After watching for a while, he put down the binoculars and reported to Tom Wright, the overall quality of the opponent's arms is relatively high, but the number is not large, no more than 20,000, no more than 20,000. Tom Wright's eyes widened. What the hell? You dare to attack the third-level main city with less than 20,000 troops? It's fake. He grabbed the telescope from Hilly's hand and took a look for himself. After seeing the situation clearly, he was stunned. It's really less than 20,000. Damn, what are their backgrounds? Could it be that a certain alliance split into 2 groups, and this is just one of them? Tom Wright said to himself. That was the only explanation he could think of. After all, this is the third block. Any main city has 100,000 or even more defenders. How could a mere army with less than 20,000 units attack such a main city? Hilly also wondered, and asked, then what should we do now? Tom Wright stroked his chin, and a cold light flashed in his brown pupils. The opponent has only 20,000 arms and is still in battle. It happened to be met by me. This is an opportunity to think about it, but all the lords who can enter the third block have at least 1 million, or even 2 million points. The current Tom Wright ranks second in the ranking, and there is still a big gap from Su Yi, who is the first. If you can defeat this lord, you can not only get a third-level main city, but also get the points of the lord. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and then successfully crush Su Yi, who surpassed the first place. It's beautiful. There is wood. Thinking of this, Tom Wright clenched his fists and ordered sharply, pass my order. Everyone is ready. We are going to attack. Hearing this, Shirley understood what Tom Wright meant, but hesitated a bit. He reminded, leader, the opponent's troops seem to be of a much higher rank than ours. Before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Tom Wright. No matter how tall Go is, he only has more than 10,000 troops, but I still have more than 80,000 troops. If it is a sneak attack, it will not be easy to kill them. Chapter 343. Are you Su Yi? Second more for subscription. When Shirley heard it, he felt it made sense. Dang even passed on Tom Wright's order. According to Tom Wright's request, more than 80,000 troops were divided into 2 groups. Attack from the south all the way, attack from the west all the way. In this way, the lord who is besieging the city will be defeated. The plan has been made, and now it's time to implement it. Following Tom Wright's order, the 2 armies rushed towards the third-level main city in the center, and the momentum was so great that it made people's expressions change at the same time. The battle between Su Yi and the defenders of the third-level main city was already halfway through. Before that, the battle went smoothly. I believe that in another hour, this third-level main city will be captured. But at this moment, Yafei suddenly ran to Su Yi from behind, and said anxiously, it's not good. There are other lords' allies appearing. Su Yi frowned when he heard the words, and hurriedly flew towards the sky on blazing, looking down at the ground from a high altitude. He soon discovered Tom Wright's army in the west and south, and his expression changed slightly. The battle to capture the main city is not over yet. And now we are meeting the allies of other lords. This is not a good thing. Two sides, flanking attack, even Suya. I'm afraid it will be difficult to parry, but it's hard to parry. And Suya is definitely not the kind of person who can be caught without a fight. He has already seen that the army in the south and west should belong to the same lord, although I don't know who is on the list, but from the current situation, it can be seen that this army is obviously coming for him. In that case, he was not polite knowing the current situation. Suya made a decisive decision: let Chi Lai lower the altitude, and at the same time call out 500 dragons and 500 flower fairies on the battlefield under the leadership of myself and Yafai. They flew to the south and west respectively before leaving. He also left an order: let Lin Yangxi, Su Kainer and the others make a quick decision and end the battle in front of them as quickly as possible. This point is very important because only when the battle in the main city behind is really over can Suyi wholeheartedly fight against the invading allied forces. As for now, he summoned 500 dragons and 500 flower fairies, but only one thought. Chapter 228. That is circles. Do your best to buy enough time for the next battle. Secondly, he also wanted to find out which blind thing is coming now. Fly forward with 500 dragons. Soon it will be convenient for the armies in the west to meet with each other. Su, you didn't take the lead in attacking, but looked down on the ground from the air, looking for the commander of this army. But just as he stopped, Tom Wright, the commanding army below, came out voluntarily. He looked up at the sky, flying, eyes full of contempt. There are only 500 giant dragons, so what if it is a high-level unit? Can it beat his more than 40,000 units? Who is coming? Suyi's voice came from the air, neither sad nor happy, but with a cold chill. Tom Wright, who was crossing his legs, looked at Suyi, and said lightly, the Alliance of Paradise, Tom Wright of the Eden Territory, the main city behind you, and you, I'm all fancy. Give me the city, and I can consider letting you live. While speaking, Tom Wright showed an incomparable expression. It's as if he already has the winning ticket in his hands. When Suyi in the sky heard this, his slightly frowning brows relaxed. Tom Wright, let me go. It would be such a coincidence. This guy is Tom Wright. Not only that, this guy also provoked himself. This is unbearable. Thinking of this, Suyi sneered, and glanced at Tom Wright. Don't you want to know who I am? Tom Wright's face froze. What did Suyi mean? This guy only has so few units, and he is probably a certain lord after the 15th place. How strong it can be depends on Suyi's dress and language. It should be the Chinese lord is undoubtedly thinking of this. Tom Wright laughed loudly. I don't care who you are, it can't be Suyi. He didn't believe that. The Black Horse Suyi. There are only so few troops. However, Suyi's next sentence made Tom Wright's laughter stop abruptly. I didn't expect you to know me. Yes, I am Suyi. Poof. Tom Wright's eyes widened. What the hell is Suyi? Impossible. That bastards are definitely more than your type. You are not Suyi. Absolutely not. Tom Wright quibbled. Suyi rolled his eyes. Shit. No one believes the truth these days, but what Suyi said is the truth. It's up to others whether they believe it or not. Believe it or not, Suyi was not in a good mood. Tom Wright opened his mouth and wanted to say something else, but suddenly realized a problem. He looked at Suyi, and then at the third-level main city battlefield behind Suyi. Suddenly understood. Damn, this guy who claims to be Suyi is delaying time. If I want to continue arguing with this guy, I will really fall into the pit. Thinking of this, Tom Wright shouted, whether you are Suyi or not, if you meet me today, you will be considered unlucky. After saying that, Tom Wright waved his hand. The order to attack was issued. The more than 40,000 troops behind him all rushed towards this side. All the long-range attack units have activated their skills and greeted the sky. It seems that they are ready to make a quick decision. Seeing this, Suyi knew that Tom Wright couldn't wait any longer, so he immediately gave the order, fight, don't attack hard, just circle around. After the words fell, the 500 giant dragons brought by Suyi scattered, entered the battlefield from all directions, and then started a battle with Tom Wright's troops. Dragon, high speed, high damage, high life value, high defense, combat experience, also command. In addition, Suyi gave the order not to attack. Now roaming the battlefield, attracting firepower crazily, but rarely attacking close to the ground. All of a sudden, it managed to attract the attention of Tom Wright's 40,000 strong army. Chapter 344. Suyi tonight, third watch for subscription. On the other side, facing Yafai, more than 40,000 Heavenly Alliance allies led by Shirley. After seeing that the battle had broken out on Tom Wright's side, he immediately gave the order to attack. Get entangled with Yafai's 500 Flowers Fairy. The Flower Fairy's Flower Fairy cannon has a very wide attack range. Taking into account the disparity in the number of enemies in SSS, is very wise not to let the Flower Fairy close to the ground. Instead, They spread out in the air, carrying flower fairy cannons, and bombarded the troops on the ground. In this way, the flower fairies can attack the enemy troops on the ground while ensuring their own safety anyway. The order Suya gave her was to deal with the allied forces, not a real battle. The flower fairy flies high in the sky and hits the opponent from the air, which puts great pressure on Hilly. He wanted to knock down the flower fairy in the sky, but he couldn't reach it at all, even though there are quite a few ranged units in the allies, but their attack distance doesn't seem to be as good as that of the flower fairy. Moreover, those high-level units like elves are quite fast. Dodging attacks in the air is like playing you can't hit at all. Okay. Yafire rode a giant dragon and commanded the flower fairy to fight. In addition to the flower fairy cannon, the flower fairy also has an ability that can pose a big threat to the allies. That's paralysis dust. Jade leaf flying flowers can also be considered as a long-range attack, but the attack range is much smaller than that of Huoxin cannon. On the contrary, the paralyzing dust that can cause paralyzing effects can be released from the air, and then fall towards the ground like rain. The troops below have no way to retreat and can only bear it passively. So, this scene happened now. The paralysis dust is very tiny. If you don't observe it carefully, you can't even see it at all, and this happened to be one of the major boosts for the dust to enter the enemy camp. A large amount of paralyzing dust fell and was inhaled into the nasal cavity by the soldiers. Immediately afterwards, their bodies became abnormal. The action starts to become a meal. It's like a rusty machine. Very weird. Seeing this scene, Shirley's expression changed drastically, and he hurriedly asked what was going on. The other lords who followed him looked at each other in blank dismay. How would they know what was going on? Hilary cursed secretly, and quickly found a troop to check its attribute information. Until then, he didn't see the word paralyzed on the unit attribute panel. This is a trick. But where did the trick come from? Needless to say, it must be those flower fairies in the sky. Shirley was furious and roared, "Shit, hit me, beat them down, and tear them to pieces. All the allied forces are coming," at Shirley's order, ready to attack the flower fairy in the sky, but the latter has already taken a step ahead and launched a second wave of attacks on them. That's right, the second wave. Although the paralysis effect cannot completely control the enemy, it can greatly affect the enemy's action speed and attack speed, and this happened to be a very favorable condition for the flower fairies. Following Yafi's order, the 500 flower fairies put away the flower fairy cannons at the same time, followed by agitation. With a pair of transparent wings behind her, she flew towards the ground. Seeing this scene, Shirley on the ground was full of disdain and anger. He felt that Yafi was courting death. Immediately let the troops immediately attack. But how did he know that all of this was in Yafi's calculations? The flower fairies descended from the sky, and the distance between them and the allied forces on the ground was rapidly approaching. Soon after arriving at a suitable location, the flower fairies stopped moving forward. They began to wave their slender hands. While waving their hands, dots of light scattered from their hands. Then it turned into palm-sized green leaves and petals. In the next moment, the summoned green leaves and petals all turned into after images and rushed towards the troops on the ground. The speed is quite fast. The sound of breaking through the air was endless. In less than a second, Yuafiho approached the allied camp. The cutting sound of puff 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 is endless, except for some meat shield units with higher defense and higher health. Many other arms were hit by Yuafiho. Then what was the result? Their health dropped like a diabetes insipidus in just a few seconds. More than 1,000 soldiers died under the jade leaves and flying flowers. Hilary was stunned. The lords behind him were also stunned. What the hell? The other party clearly only has 500. Yet they have caused such a big threat to them. When they react and prepare to launch a second wave of counterattacks, those flower fairies who lowered their altitude have already left the previous positions, returned to the high altitude, and carried the flower fairy cannons. The booming sound of gunfire rang out. Their second round of attack has already started. First, before Yuifiho's residual blood had been recovered, the units were hit by the Huoxin cannons that came one after another. Then hiccuped. Hilary was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. It has been almost a year since the age of the Lord came, but he has never encountered such a formidable enemy as today. Chapter 229. Not only powerful, but also cunning. Not only cunning, but also powerful. This is the Western battlefield. It wasn't easy for Tom Wright, who went to Suyu. If we say that Yafi is a bit difficult to deal with, that Suyu is quite difficult after all. The quality of troops on Suyu's side is much higher than that on Yafi's side. Such a guy is too difficult to deal with, relying on the dragon's high speed, high damage, high defense, and high blood volume. And the sacred dragon that Suyu specially brought here heals exclusively for other dragon shields under the multiple boosts. The giant dragon is an iron plate that cannot be kicked or bitten. Falling from the sky, hit a wave and retreat. Tom Wright's 40 000 troops were under such continuous harassment, and more than 8,000 were killed, almost a quarter of the Allied forces on his side. This made Tom Wright almost faint from anger. Now he suddenly believed what Suyi said. Perhaps the person I met was really Suyi or Benyi. Chapter 345, Summoning the 10th-tier unit, Guardians of Heaven. If so, what should I do? Even though Tom Wright had sworn before entering the third block that he must find Suyi and beat him out, the current situation is that he has only completed half of this task. Suyi found it, but it wasn't Suyi who made shit, but Tom Wright. It's so funny and dramatic. Bastard, no matter what today, I will make you pay the price, Tom Wright said harshly. Immediately, he took out several scrolls of forbidden spells from his lord's space. These are his secret weapons. Suyi's giant dragon was really difficult to deal with, so he had no choice but to use these things. Otherwise, waiting for him is definitely not a good thing. Tom Wright's little move to use the scroll of the forbidden spell fell into Suyi's eyes, but he didn't panic. Although scrolls of forbidden spells are very scary things, as long as you pay attention to precautions, you can also avoid them very well. After Tom Wright took out the scroll of forbidden curse, he immediately started using it. These are very common skills such as the fire from the sky, and the freezing of thousands of miles. Suyi quickly escaped with a dragon until Tom Wright took out the fifth scroll of forbidden spells. The situation has changed. The fifth scroll of forbidden curse is golden in color, and exudes a golden gleam of light. So people can tell at a glance that it must be something extraordinary. A look of pain flashed in Tom Wright's eyes, and he looked at Suyi in the sky. Z10, you forced me to do this. With that said, Tom Wright opened the scroll. The next moment, a dazzling golden light emerged from Tom Wright's head. Slowly a portal was formed. Immediately afterwards, a murderous aura emanated from the portal. One after another, figures are walking out of the portal. They were humanoid creatures over 5 meters tall, wearing golden armor, shining brightly. As soon as these guys appeared, they were suspended in midair, and the array spread out. Tom Wright was straightforward. After seeing these guys come out, the corners of his lips raised a curve. Taste the power of my heaven guards. Then Tom Wright gave the order to attack. A total of 100 heaven guards, armed with spears, rushed towards the dragon. Suyi, who was sitting on Blazing's back, watched the scene here. After seeing the Guardian of Heaven, quickly throw out detection skills to check. Paradise Guardian, Tier 10 level. 10 HP. 800,000 attack power. 3, 10,000 defense power. 3, 10,000 speed. 48 skills, Holy Light of Heaven. The natural skills of the Guardians of Heaven, their bodies, and their equipment are all protected by the Holy Light. After being injured, they will recover 5% of their life every second after leaving the war for 1 minute. Value, their weapons protected by the Holy Light can cause double damage to dark units. Golden armor, the golden armor of the Guardians of Heaven is made of the unique ore of heaven. Its defense is very strong. When necessary, summon the golden armor to increase the defense by 30% in a short time and last for 2 minutes. Power of the Holy Light, summon the Holy Light, condense on the weapon, and charge the enemy, which can cause huge damage to the enemy. This skill can ignore 50% of the enemy's defensive power. It can only be triggered once within a minute. Wrath of the Giant Spirit, after the health value drops to the last 10%, there will be an 80% chance to trigger this skill and become a Giant Spirit. The health value will be restored by 50%, and all attributes will be increased by 20%. It lasts for 1 minute, and after 1 minute, it will recover the original state, and enter a weak state. All attributes decreased by 20%. Description: the guards living in heaven have been eroded by the Holy Light all year round, and gradually become the existence that can control the Holy Light. Very powerful. Seeing this attribute information, Suyi sighed. Damn, it turned out to be a 10th tier unit. It seems that Tom Wright is also a child of luck. He has all kinds of things. However, it can be seen that this should be summoned from a scroll of summoning forbidden spells. In other words, Tom Wright does not have a template for this type of arms and cannot be trained at best. He is only the guardians of the 100 units in front of him. If that's the case, then Suyi doesn't need to be afraid at all. You only have 100 units of tier 10 troops, but Lao Tzu has 500. Oh no, it should be 1,000, which is strong and which is weak. You can tell at a glance. At this moment, under Tom Wright's order, the guards of heaven are rushing towards this side. Suyi was not polite, and directly ordered the attack. 500 warlike giant dragons were so excited when they met their opponents for the first time. Soon it was time to fight with the guardians of heaven. In an instant, the sky was full of swords, lights and swords. Various attacks emerge endlessly. It is not difficult to see that the guardian of heaven is a typical meat shield unit. Most skills are used to save lives. Not enough damage for dragons, and the giant dragon has hard dragon scales. plus various shields and treatments of the Holy Dragon and the most important quantity rolling in a short time, he successfully gained the upper hand, suppressed those 100 heaven guards severely. This made Tom Wright on the ground very uncomfortable. What the hell? Are you so irresistible? In desperation, he had no choice but to order other long-range attack units to give some support to the heavenly guards in the sky, but it had little effect. Tom Wright had some doubts about life, and at the same time began to have the idea of retreating. There's no way. He doesn't know what the result will be if he meets Suya, but what he knew was that Suya was very difficult to deal with if you touch it. I'm afraid it will result in a lose-lose outcome, and this, Tom Wright didn't want to see. Just kidding. This is a secret place for activities. Lords of other countries are everywhere. God knows if there is. A leak. Just when Tom Wright was thinking about whether he should retreat, suddenly in the valley behind him another army appeared. The scale is not small, at least 7 or 8, the kind of 10,000 arms. Seeing this scene, Tom Wright was a little dazed. Could it be that it was a leaker? After thinking about it again, Tom Wright took it into consideration. He suddenly had an immature idea. He still doesn't know who will appear in the back and who it is, but certainly one of the top 20 lords. Chapter 346, Joining Forces, each with a ghost subscription for the second watch. If he took the initiative to ask for help, join forces, and let the person behind him fight against Suyi, what would happen if he joined forces? Even if Suyi was difficult to deal with, he would probably be pulled down. Thinking of this, Tom Wright glanced at Suyi. Heavenly battle still going on, but the Guardians of Heaven are clearly at a disadvantage. More than half of them have now been killed. The remaining half are just struggling to resist. I'm afraid it won't last too long. Seeing this, Tom Wright gritted his teeth and ran towards the army in the valley behind with some elite troops at the same time. The front of the army in the valley behind Takeshita Jinsong was scanning the battlefield ahead. From time to time, an obscene gleam flashed in his narrowed eyes. The two armies fought and were met by him. This is my luck. Do I want to be a fisherman? Even though I don't know which two lords are in front of me, Takeshita Jinsong knows that as long as I can eat any one of the lords, then it will definitely become the first place in this lord's hegemony in one fell swoop. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 230. I'm afraid that even the Black Horse Suyi will be left behind. Just as Takeshita relaxed, Tom Wright was running towards this side with a small group of people. Master, someone is coming over there. A lord cupped his hands and reported to Takeshita Jinsong. Takeshita Jinsong frowned, then relaxed it again. Let them come over, we'll see what's going on, soon. Tom Wright walked 100 meters in front of Takeshita Jinsong's army unimpeded. The guy didn't dare to get too close. What's more, if Takeshita Jinsong wants to play tricks, he can still escape. May I ask which lord you are? Tom Wright yelled. Hearing this, Takeshita Jinsong stood up from his mount, and answered directly, Fuji Alliance, Yaki Territory, Takeshita Jinsong. Who is your excellency? Takeshita Shinmatsu's words reached Tom Wright's ears, making the latter feel a little embarrassed. Takeshita Jinsong, the third-rank Takeshita Jinsong, turned out to be this guy. I am the Alliance of Heaven, Tom Wright of the Eden Territory, Lord Takeshita, and I want to discuss cooperation with you. Tom Wright yelled. When Takeshita Jinsong heard this, he also became interested. Opposite him was Tom Wright, who ranked second. This guy wants to discuss cooperation with himself. What is the cooperation? No matter how you say it, listen to it first anyway. It's up to you to answer or not. Please tell me, Your Excellency. After the words fell, Tom Wright pointed to the battlefield behind him and said, Lord Takeshita, please look, that army over there is the army that ranks first in terms of points. I happened to meet Lord Takeshita, so I want to invite Lord Takeshita to join hands with me to destroy Suyi's army and take his points. As soon as these words came out, the lords behind Takeshita Jinsong were in an uproar. What the hell is Suyi? That is, after Suyi entered the third block, Takeshita Jinsong has always had the same idea as Tom Wright, that is to find Suyi, kill him, and get all his points, become number one in one fell swoop. But after so many days of searching, I still haven't seen Suyi. I didn't expect to see it here now, and there were people who approached Suyi before he did. The most important thing is that this person said that Suyi is very strong, and he wants to join forces with him. So should I agree, or agree, or agree? Tom Wright has always held his ground. This is enough to show the strength of this guy. If it is said that even Tom Wright's level of combat power can't destroy Suyi as for fighting alone, how can he defeat Suyi? In other words, No matter what, whether to live in Jinsong or Tom Wright, there is only one way to defeat Suya, that is joining forces. But there are also problems with joining forces, and they are not small problems. Just imagine, Takeshita Shinmatsu and Tom Wright, they don't know each other, and they even have a rival relationship. These two guys teamed up, and they must have their own ulterior motives. Maybe on the surface it's a collaboration, but behind the scenes, he always wants to kill the other party. But if they don't join forces, both sides can't eat Suya at that time. Suya will still be number one, and they can only follow behind to drink soup and have no meat to eat. Thinking of this, Takeshita Jinsong looked at the several lords behind him. What do you think? Several lords looked at each other. Some were uncertain about paying attention. After a while, a lord said, "Master, I think we should refuse. The people are sinister. And we don't know Suya and Tom Wright at all. If this is a trap, we." As soon as this remark came out, several lords agreed, but there are several other lords who hold the opposite attitude. They think they can work together. "Leader, I think we can agree to cooperate, but in cooperation, we should preserve our strength. First eliminate Suya, who is the first, and then find a way to bring down Tom Wright, and swallow all the points of these two. When the time comes, we are firmly number one." This statement won the approval of Takeshita Shinmatsu. The guy rolled his sneaky eyeballs and nodded quickly. "It makes sense. Let's do it like this. Let's pretend to cooperate and save as much energy as possible during the battle. After Suya is dealt with, we will trouble Tom Wright." The surrounding lords heard the words and expressed their approval. Everyone has ambitions, especially those powerful people. It is not an exaggeration to describe them as ambitious. Just at this time, Tom Wright, who was waiting impatiently, called out, "Lord Takeshita, have you discussed it?" Takeshita Jinsong replied immediately, "Yes, I agree to cooperate, join hands with you, and defeat Suya first, then we will share his points equally." This hit Tom Wright's arms. He nodded quickly, and called Takeshita Jinsong to enter the battlefield. Putting pressure on Suya, and he himself ran back quickly. The battle over there between the dragons and the guardians of heaven is over. The dragon has won. Now it's time to attack Tom Wright's other allies. Chapter 347. Sitting on the mountain and watching the tiger fight. Subscribe for the third watch. Takeshita Jinsong in the rear watched Tom Wright return to the battlefield, but he didn't make any move. This scene fell into the eyes of several lords behind, making them a little puzzled. "Leader, there is already a war over there. Why don't we take action?" asked the lord. The corners of Takeshita Jinsong's lips curled slightly, and he glanced at the lord. "Of course we will act, but not now. Let that, Suya and Tom Wright consume each other. Let's take our time." When the other lords heard this, they all swallowed a mouthful of saliva, thinking in their hearts that this Takeshita Jinsong was really cunning. "I just agreed to cooperate with Tom Wright, but now I'm counting on it." But having said that, if Takeshita Jinsong wants to complete the tasks mentioned before, he really has to do so. If you want to be a fisherman, you have to let the snipe and clam consume some energy first, right? Of course, Takeshita Jinsong cannot do this process too clearly. He coughed lightly. "Now, listen to my order. The troops move forward at normal speed. Don't charge." As he spoke, Takeshita Jinsong rode his mount and slowly moved forward. The 80,000 troops behind him followed suit, but the speed is a bit frowning. It's too slow. It doesn't look like it's going to support on the other side. The battlefield of the Heavenly Alliance and Suya's army. The third-level main city in the rear has been captured according to Suya's order. Su Kainer will carry out the territory certification. This is to avoid waiting. When the war started, someone took advantage of the gap and got the third-level main city after the authentication. Su Zitter, Lin Yangtze. Even the others will naturally not stand by with the rest of the army. They rushed towards Suya. Afterwards, they mixed with Suya's army, and fought with the Tom Wright allied forces on the ground above the battlefield. Suya and others gathered together. "Brother Su, the situation seems to be a little bad. Another army has appeared over there," Lin Yangtze said, pointing to the direction of Takeshita Jinsong's army. Suya sneered. "I already know, but don't worry." Suzair and the others looked at each other when they heard the words "don't worry." Just now they saw Tom Wright going to negotiate with Takeshita Jinsong. Judging by the current situation, the two parties have probably joined forces. Tom Wright's army is already large, plus Takeshita Shinmatsu's army. The scale has exceeded 150,000. In the end, Suya said, "Don't worry." "What does that mean?" "It seems that seeing the worry of a few little girls," Yiling snorted, "two people who don't know each other and have their own ghosts join forces. What do you think will happen? Everyone is only looking out for their own interests." King Lian blurted out. "To be honest, she is also a person who has experienced great storms. She has seen a lot of this kind of cooperation between the two sides, but each has its own ulterior motives. Usually it doesn't end well in the end. Suyu snapped his fingers. That's right, just wait and see the show, we will definitely win this battle. As he spoke, Suyu waved his hand, motioning for everyone to disperse, ready to attack. Lin Yangxi and the others didn't dare to be negligent. They dispersed one after another, and began to order their troops to approach this side on the battlefield. The battle has already begun. The third-level main city has been captured. So now all of Suyu's troops are approaching here. Then fight Tom Wright's allies. The 500 giant dragons and 500 flower fairies had made it difficult for Tom Wright's allies to resist. Now that all of Suyu's troops are here, the casualties of Tom Wright's allied forces are even more severe. 1,000 giant dragons and 1,000 flower fairies charged together, killing a large number of allies in minutes. On the ground, Tom Wright watched his army die one by one, and was so angry that he wanted to curse. Bastard, where are our reinforcements? Tom Wright yelled. The disheartened Shirley ran from not far away and reported to Tom Wright, Master, the reinforcements have arrived, but their speed. Having said that, Hillary hesitated to speak. Tom Wright frowned. What's wrong with their speed? Hilly handed the telescope to Tom Wright. See for yourself. Chapter 231. Tom Wright took it, and quickly looked behind him. Tom Wright was furious when he saw the Takeshita Jinsong allied forces slowly walking towards this side. Bastard, this is support. This is a walk after dinner? Hilly clenched his fists. Leader, I don't think Takeshita Jinsong has any intention of joining forces with us at all. They all agreed to join forces, but now Takeshita Jinsong's allied forces don't look like they are joining forces. Watching Tom Wright's allied forces being beaten to pieces, but still walking towards this side swayingly. What is sitting on a mountain and watching tigers fight, right? Tom Wright put down the binoculars, and he has already greeted the 18 generations of Takeshita Jinsong's ancestors neatly. Then he thought about the countermeasures in his mind. A minute later, his eyes lit up and he thought about it. Looking back at the army of Takeshita Jinsong, who was still thousands of meters away, a coldness flashed in his eyes. Don't you guys like to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight, and want to join the battlefield later? Let me tell you, this is impossible. Listen to my order. I'll retreat in a roundabout way, and try to preserve the combat power as much as possible, Tom Wright ordered. When the lords around heard the words, they looked at each other in blank dismay. What the hell is going to retreat in a roundabout way? Tom Wright gave up, but this is not Tom Wright's style. Perhaps seeing the doubts of these lords, Tom Wright added, give me the direction of the allied forces in Zyuksha Jinsong. Retreat, draw Suyu's army over, and force Takeshita Jinsong to join the battle. As soon as these words came out, the surrounding lords all understood. Emotional Tom Wright is playing this idea. Not to mention, it's a good idea. You Takeshita Jinsong want to stay out of the matter and reap the benefits. Hey, then you have to ask us whether we agree or not. Lead Suyu's army to your side. You have to fight. If you don't fight, and once there's a battle, the bridge between Takeshita Jinsong and Suyu will be forged by the time. Chapter 348. Sky Alliance vs. Heaven. Fuji Alliance. Ask for flowers, ask for votes, ask for everything. Just do what you say. Under the order of Tom Wright, the allied forces of the Heavenly Alliance began to act one after another, retreat in a roundabout way, and approach the Takeshita Jinsong army. While ensuring that you have as much strength as possible, the giant dragon in the sky and the flower fairies naturally pursued Tom Wright's allies and approached there together. Suyu saw this scene and he also understood what Tom Wright was doing at the moment. What should we do? Shall we follow? Yafei asked aloud. And she also saw the signs. Suyu showed a meaningful smile. Follow, why not follow? After finishing speaking, Suyu gave the order to let the army advance together. Compared with the past, there is no harm to Suyu, right? Why do you say that? You see, Tom Wright and Takeshita Jinsong have not really cooperated yet, and they are already competing now. Tom Wright is approaching that way, and the two sides are mixed together. Two people who have their own ghosts will definitely be jealous of each other, so they will not burst out with all their strength. For Suyu, isn't the covert battle the best opportunity to attack? It's so beautiful. On the ground, Tom Wright approached Takeshita Jinsong while looking back at the sky. When he saw Suyu's army following closely behind, he smiled. I really got the bait. Then Suyu has no brains. With that said, he ordered the army to run faster. After all, Suyu's army is following closely behind, attacking his troops all the time. If you join up with Takeshita Jinsong's allied forces 1 minute faster, you can reduce the casualties of your own army by 1%. And Takeshita Jinsong in the distance, after seeing Tom Wright's operation at the moment, also gave a sigh. But soon, he also reacted and understood the significance of Tom Wright's approach. Damn, "You bastard," Takeshita Jinsong cursed secretly. After a brief thought, he went on to order, "All stop advancing, set up a defensive formation on the spot, and prepare to fight." There is no way he could have joined the battle after some time, but I didn't expect that Tom Wright had seen through his trick, and now he was leading Suyu's army towards this side. This is clearly the rhythm of wanting Takeshita Jinsong to directly join the battle. The most important thing is that Takeshita Jinsong can only accept it passively, but then again, it was Takeshita Jinsong who was not honest about this matter. They all talked about teaming up and joining forces. Then you have to be honest with others. You must engage in some tricks. Well now, let Tom Wright be prepared. Immediately after Takeshita Jinsong's allied forces received the order stop advancing, and then set up a defensive formation on the spot, waiting for Suyu's army to approach soon, Tom Wright's army joined Takeshita Shinmatsu's army. When the two armies met, there was a moment of confusion, but the leaders of both sides have issued a death order, and they must not attack each other, so there was no bloodshed. But although no fighting broke out, the guard between the two sides, yet it still exists, and it's pretty obvious from this point. It can be seen that this is destined to be a disharmonious cooperation, and such cooperation, usually the result is failure. The armies of the two sides converged and began to defend against the enemy together. Suyi in the sky didn't care about these things, directly ordered an indiscriminate attack anyway. They are all opponents, so why show mercy? The giant dragons were ordered to turn into 1,000 after images and swoop down from the sky, then launched an onslaught. The allies of the two sides are still meeting, people who are on guard against each other at this moment. How can they have the mind to resist the attack from the sky? Thousands of allies were killed in a short time. Tom Wright also has it, and Takeshita Shinmatsu has it too. In Suyu's words, it's only fair that he wants the rain and dew to be even. The dragons attacked first, which angered Takeshita Shinmatsu and Tom Wright. Without saying a word, the two directly ordered a counterattack. Soon, the three armies began to fight. Hesitating, Tom Wright's army and Takeshita Shinmatsu's army are next to each other, and many of them have even merged together. So in the battle, I didn't try my best, for fear that I would be stabbed by others during the battle, and this made the resistance of the allied forces on the field not enough to hurt a dragon and the flower fairy. This actually provides a very perfect output condition for the dragon and the flower fairy in the rear. The dragon hunter, the beast summoner, and other units also attacked one after another on the edge of the battlefield. Attack Tom Wright's army. Dragon hunter, high damage, super long-range attack. Round after round of arrows rained down from the sky. The sound of breaking through the air was endless. Blockbuster. Tom Wright allies killed the beast summoner, summoned a beast, and together with the other 7th tier units, charged towards the army. Cooperating with the arrow rain coverage of the dragon hunter, it played a big role several times of charging down. Tom Wright's army has lost thousands. This scene fell in Tom Wright's eyes, making his eyes tear open. But there was nothing he could do about it. It wasn't until now that he truly realized how terrifying Suyi was, including Takeshita Jinsong. He was also a little confused. I thought that Suyi was just a little luckier than himself and other lords, and entered the third block ahead of schedule. It now appears that is not the case. This guy's force value is also stronger than himself and others, and much stronger. Just like now, even if the allied forces of the two sides join forces, they are still defeated by Suyi, of course. This also has something to do with Takeshita Shinmatsu and Tom Wright's own ghosts' cooperation and cooperation. Pay attention to his candid treatment. If even this tacit understanding cannot be achieved, the cooperation is doomed to failure. Suyi firmly grasped this opportunity, ordered the dragons to launch a fierce attack. He even took out a lot of scrolls of forbidden spells from the Lord's space, and prepared to throw them on the battlefield below, adding a little something to this war. Chapter 349, Tens of Thousands Vaporized in Minutes. Second watch subscription. Suyi knew very well how he should fight this battle. A quick fight is a must. Although it is said that Takeshita Jinsong and Tom Wright have their own ghosts, but it is likely to be only temporary under the oppression of Suyi's army. The cooperative relationship between the two parties will undergo two possible changes. First, still intrigue. Everyone wants to be a fisherman in this case. Suyi won't be too easy if he wants to win. It's completely possible to divide and attack, and then win. Second, Takeshita Jinsong and Tom Wright realized the seriousness of the problem, and began to put aside their barriers and fight against Suyi wholeheartedly. If this is the case, then Suyi will be a bit difficult to deal with. After all, the difference in the number of arms between the two sides is there. Besides, Takeshita Jinsong and Tom Wright are both well-known superlords. If it is said that there is no whole card in hand, no one will believe it. For example, the Heaven Guard summoning scroll thrown by Tom Wright just now. Suyi was a little surprised. In the unlikely event that Takeshita Jinsong is in such a situation, it is very likely that it will happen when Suyi has the upper hand. Therefore, Suyi's plan is to fight quickly before the two of them wake up completely screwed both guys. Chapter 232. At that time, even if the two people who have no foundation join hands wholeheartedly, they will not be Suyi's opponent at that time, it will still be slaughtered by Suyi. Thinking of this, Suyi opened the scroll of forbidden spells that he took out. It's like throwing a cannonball, throwing it towards the allied troops below. What kind of fire starts a prairie fire? What freezes thousands of miles? Don't throw it down like money. At the same time, the Doomsday armor is also thrown. This thing was developed by Banners, and it is a pseudo 9th level 9th unit that specializes in self-explosion. Well, in fact, apart from self-destruction, their combat effectiveness should not be underestimated. But now Suyi doesn't need them to fight, just need them to self-destruct and self-destruct in the allied camp. Eliminate as many allies as possible. Suyi has never been willing to use the Doomsday armor. Now there are more than 90 left. Without further ado, throw it all away. More than 90 Doomsday matches, with the help of propellers, turned into after images and flew into the monster camp, then explode, detonating the entire body. The resulting power is surprisingly large. All of a sudden, the allies of Takeshita Jinsong and Tom Wright were bombed and cried out. Just less than 3 minutes, over 50,000 of their troops were wiped out overnight. The casualties caused are countless. Just this wave has caused the coalition forces to drop several notches after the giant dragon and the flower fairies found the right opportunity. They charged again. Especially look for those troops that have been bombed and have leftover blood to attack. After several rounds of charging, nearly 20,000 soldiers were killed. Now, there are 40,000 left in Tom Wright's allied forces, and Takeshita Jinmatsu is not much better, with 50,000 left in the allied forces. Only then did Takeshita Jinsong and Tom Wright start to panic, especially Takeshita Jinsong. All along, he thought he had the chance to win. As long as you stay steady, after the battle is over, no matter what, whether it is Suyi or Tom Wright, they will work for themselves. But when Suyi's bombing came down, his face was swollen and slapped. What the hell? This is what people do. And they evaporate tens of thousands of their troops in minutes. Devil, this is leader. What should we do now? Should we withdraw? A Fuji Alliance lord asked. Takeshita Jinsong wiped the dirt on his face. His face was gloomy. I can't retreat. Suyi's giant dragon is very fast. Once we retreat, we will definitely be caught up. Then what to do? A few more rounds of attacks, we will be wiped out. Another lord said. Takeshita Jinsong clenched his fists after hesitating for a long time. He ordered, hold on, I'll go talk to Tom Wright. After saying that, he rode his mount and ran towards Tom Wright's army on the other side. Tom Wright was equally confused. It looked rather embarrassing. Hillary next to him is even more so. Unfortunately, it was within the explosion range. Just now one arm has been blown away, and he has become a one-armed hero. Although the blood had stopped, his face was extremely pale. Seeing the giant dragon whizzing past in the sky, Hilly's eyes were full of fear. He doesn't want to fight anymore. He wants to retreat. He wants to leave. He wants to go home. If the fight continues, he is afraid that his own life will be lost here. Tom Wright was also stunned. He didn't wake up until the Lord reported that Takeshita Jinsong was looking for him. Quickly meet with Takeshita Jinsong. It was the first time the two sides met, and there were no pleasantries or greetings. Takeshita Jinsong's first sentence was, the situation is urgent. If you don't want to wipe out the whole army, just hand over all your cards. Tom Wright frowned. The whole card? The bottom card is a chicken. He has already handed over more than half of his whole cards. Okay. But this Takeshita Jinsong, I have never seen him amplify his moves. Leader Takeshita, I should tell you this sentence. Tom Wright said. The corners of Takeshita Jinsong's lips twitched. He knew that Tom Lai meant something, but now is not the time to pursue this. Ahem. Leader Tom, let's talk about some things after the battle is won. From now on, I will let my army meet the enemy in the best condition, and I will sacrifice all our trump cards. In the name of the Fuji Alliance I swear, I hope President Tom will not be stingy. Tom Wright snorted coldly. I don't want to die yet, so naturally I won't be stingy. With these words, Takeshita Jinsong was relieved. A lot. He bid farewell and returned to the camp of the Fuji Alliance army. Then, as he said, he submitted all his whole cards. What expansion scrolls? Scrolls of forbidden spells, scrolls of unit summoning. They were all taken out and thrown into the sky. Tom Wright saw Takeshita Shinmatsu being so sincere. Naturally, he was not idle, and followed the latter's example, revealing all his trump cards, hoping to destroy Suyi in this way. But is it possible? Chapter 350, slapping in the face. Of course not. Suyi had been guarding against this scene for a long time. So when Takeshita Jinsong and Tom Wright threw out the scroll, Suyi immediately ordered the dragon and the flower fairy to scatter and increase the flying height on this battlefield. The biggest threats to Takeshita Jinsong and Tom Wright are the dragon and the flower fairy. Therefore, when the two of them threw out their whole cards, they naturally aimed their spearheads at these two arms. I don't know if they thought about it or not. Both flower fairies and giant dragons can fly, so they can easily hit them. Sure enough, after throwing these curse scrolls or all kinds of strange things, flower fairies and giant dragons dodged one by one. Not to say that there is no threat at all, but the threats and damage caused are really very limited. It can't shake the core combat power of the dragon and the flower fairy in this way. The cards of the two lords are completely useless, as if they were thrown away and fed to the dog. Seeing that their offensive subsided, Suyu waved his hand and charged again, riding a blazing, fast speed, swooping down from the sky. Go straight to Tom Wright. This fight has lasted long enough, and it's time to end it. The blazing speed was very fast, almost to the extreme, and brought Suyu, turned into an afterimage. An attack directly. Tom Wright's pupils shrank to the size of a needle's eye, and his heart was full of worry. He was afraid. He was afraid that he would be instantly killed by Suyu. Let's rely on, defend me quickly, Tom Wright growled. Hearing the news, Hilly and other lords beside him gathered their troops one after another, preparing to defend Tom Wright against Zhi, Lia and Suyu, who were rapidly approaching in the air. It has to be said that these lords and arms are quite agile in protecting their lords. When Suyu and Blazing were close to the ground, they had already built a defensive facility for Tom Wright. Blazing but unceremonious, he sprayed it down with a mouthful of dragon's breath. The first to bear the brunt are some dark troops, a bit like stone people, but more solid than stone people. At this moment, there is a burst of exhaustion on them, forming a shield-like thing. It should be some kind of defensive skill. The breath of the dragon fell and hit these black stone men. What surprised Suyu was that he was resisted, at least for a short time. Those black stone men are close together, their bodies combined with each other to form a defensive formation to resist the dragon's breath in the air. Although this resisted the dragon's breath and continued to move forward, it also made the surrounding temperature very high. Even the air was twisted by burning. Tang Zierli and other lords hiding under the black stone men almost fainted from the heat. Especially Shirley, who became a broken arm hero, was born in the first place, and now he was scorched by such a high temperature, which immediately made him sweat profusely. Even the fresh blood overflowing from the severed arm was evaporating. The other lords are also in the same situation. All of them were red all over, like lobsters in an iron pot. Hot, too. It's hot. Leader, think of a way. I can't take it anymore. I'm going out. A large group of lords cried out in pain. What's more, they even want to break through the stone man's defense and leave here, but just as they went out, they were burned to ashes and fluttered in the wind. Tom Wright was surrounded in the middle. His eyes popped out. He already felt that his HP was rapidly decreasing. This is where the heat comes in. Chapter 233. At the same time, in his heart, he also greeted Suyu 100 times. This guy is so inhuman. Just as he was thinking about whether to go out by force and meet Suyu, suddenly the sound of the dragon's breathing came from above his head and disappeared. Then the surrounding temperature also dropped a lot. This relieved Tom Wright. I think this should be the attack interval of Suyu. Dragon breathing, dragon breath. You can't keep spitting, right? Just like people spit. Can you spit non-stop 24 hours a day? I believe no one can do it. Aware of this, Tom Wright made a decisive decision. Quick, get out. Hilly and the others, who had already reached their limit, didn't care about anything at the moment, and say yes. He ran towards the defensive fortress composed of black stone men, but just as they went out, they suddenly felt that the ground under their feet became soft and soft. Looking down, I lost it. The ground under their feet has turned into magma. At some point the bubbling kinda scorching heat hit again. Hilly and several other unlucky lords fell directly into the magma pool. There was only time to scream, and then it turned into dust and was burned to death. Tom Wright's eyes cracked. Shang stopped his legs that were about to step out, and punched the black stone man beside him. Then he heard a chirp mixed with a strange cry, and Tom Wright withdrew his hand. The flesh of the fist has been scalded, and the bones inside the flesh can even be seen. Z-Tag, Suyu, I am at odds with you. Tom Wright's voice was so loud that even Suyu, who was outside, could hear it. His voice came quickly. Give back what you said before. Give me all the points, and I can consider letting you live. Tom Wright had a bad look on his face. Damn, this sentence is indeed what he said to Suyu, but what he never expected was that Suyu would return this sentence to him. Now this fucking face is slapped. But what can he do? He is also very desperate. But it is impossible for him to hand over the points. There are two reasons. First, the points are the only condition for him to maintain his ranking. Handing over the points means that he has given up the rewards of the secret realm of this event. For this event, he paid a price of 100,000 troops, and there are many lords. How can he just give up? Second, Suyu's words. He couldn't believe that he said that if he gave all the points to him, he would let himself go. Bah! Who would believe it? Chapter 351, Get Knocked Offline, one more subscription required. Now you, Suyi, have the upper hand, and all the initiative is in your hands. Suyi, you can do whatever you say. I'm afraid that Tom Wright will hand over all the points. Suyi will take Tom Wright back. Tom Wright is not so stupid, but the current situation is extremely serious for Tom Wright. Adverse if he doesn't make a choice, death is almost a certainty at that time. The points will still go to Suyi. So, is there any other way to avoid all this from happening? Is there? Of course, there is only one, that is to go offline and exit the event secret realm. This is one of the allowed behaviors. Exit the event secret. Tom Wright will be in the secret for hours. Suyi naturally couldn't kill him again. Second, Tom Wright's points will also be retained, but once you are offline, you cannot log back, and that is to say, once Tom Wright exits the secret realm, his points will not be increased. What is the amount when he exits? And how much will be when the final settlement is made? Speaking of which, Tom Wright didn't want to do this unless it was absolutely necessary, but now it's a last resort. The knife is all up to the neck, and if you don't retreat, don't wait for death. Thinking of this, Tom Wright snorted coldly, and shouted outside, "No matter what, I won't give away the points. Leave it to you." After all, Tom Wright shouted, "I'll exit the secret realm." As the voice fell, Tom Wright's body turned into a ray of light and disappeared with a whoosh. The surrounding lords were a little confused, and couldn't keep up with Tom Wright's rhythm for a while. What's more, it's still in. Find where the offline option is located outside the fort made up of black stone men. Suyi understood Tom Wright's words instantly. Fuck, I almost forgot that there is this road. As he said that, he quickly ordered blazing onslaught. Fiercely comprehending, he breathed out the dragon's breath again at the same time. The surrounding areas have all turned into magma lakes. The black stone men within the range, as well as the lord inside, all fell into the magma lake and were burned to ashes. The notification sound in Suyi's mind kept ringing. You killed the Heavenly Alliance, Lord Stephen, and gained 420,000 points. You killed the Alliance of Heaven, Lord Hanks, and gained 290,000 points. You killed the Alliance of Heaven. A series of prompts sounded, and more than 1 million points were obtained in an instant. It made Suyi a lot more comfortable. Unfortunately, he, the Lord of Tomt, ran away. But having said that, although Tom Wright has escaped, his Heavenly Alliance is destined to suffer huge losses. Mainly three aspects. First, the loss of the Heaven Alliance Lord. This is the most important. Under Suyi's onslaught, many lords of the Heaven Alliance were killed. The points became Suyi's, and people died. This is a great loss for the Paradise Alliance. Second, the loss of the Paradise Alliance arms. Just now Tom Wright hurried off the assembly line. There was no time to bring out the remaining troops in this way. As a result, the remaining arms of the Heavenly Alliance are equivalent to staying in this secret territory. And what is the result of this? All these arms will be killed, leaving no one behind. Suyi will do this anyway. Third, Tom Wright's offline means that he withdrew from the competition for the Lord's hegemony ahead of schedule. It's like handing in an exam early. Even if you still have 2 big questions to do, it is impossible for you to ask the invigilator to take your test paper back and do those 2 big questions. Tom Wright's points have been fixed. There is still more than a day left in the secret realm, and his ranking is likely to drop a lot. On the other hand, Suyi's harvest is not bad, gaining a lot of points further consolidated Suyi's first place position. Even Suyi can use the extra points to create a second place for the Sky Alliance, but now is not the time to think about it. After all, besides Tom Wright, there was another Takeshita Jinsong on the battlefield, and this guy was not dead yet. Thinking of this, Suyi quickly turned around on his blazing horse, and ran towards Takeshita Jinsong. But before we wait, Suyi rushed to the scene. Su Kainer flew over here with the news. Brother, it's not good, the leader has escaped. Suyi was speechless, quite speechless. Come on, I thought Tom Wright was already a coward. But I didn't expect there to be someone more cowardly than him. Before the leader goes offline, there is one more sentence for us to bring to you. Suzir continued. Suyi frowned. What? A trace of anger flashed across Suzir's face. He said that his name is Takeshita Jinsong, and he is the leader of the Fuji Alliance. One day, he will bring his soldiers and find his way back. Hearing this, Suyi hesitated for a moment, and then laughed loudly. Get back to the scene. Ha. Then it's fine for him to come. I'm just worried that he ran away. A bit regretful. Saying that, Suyi was still a little surprised. Takeshita Jinsong did not expect this army to be his. This was beyond Suyi's expectation. This Takeshita Jinsong was also a wolf in his last life. He is the only lord who truly unified an entire country. That's right, at the end of the feudal age, Takeshita Shinmatsu unified the Sakura kingdom. It's a pity that Sakura country is just an island. No matter what, both land and resources are scarce, so what this guy wanted to do after unifying the Sakura kingdom was to attack the mainland. However, the monsters in the sea are too strong, and after many attempts, he couldn't make him do this. Shaking his head, he didn't bother to take care of the coward Takeshita Jinsong. Suyi looked at the battle on the battlefield. The two lords went offline one after another, and after withdrawing from the battle here is also coming to an end. In spite of whether it is the remnant army left by Takeshita Jinsong, or the remnant army left by Tom Wright, neither is the opponent of Suyi's army. They are being killed at a rapid rate right now, like the monster army in the secret territory. You can actually get a certain amount of points by killing the Lord's arms. Talk is better than nothing. Chapter 352, only the last day of the event, second watch subscription. An hour later, the battle was over. The entire valley was filled with corpses of various colors. Most of them are the corpses of allied troops of Fuji Alliance and Heaven Alliance, of course. Suyi's army also has some after all, apart from giant dragons, dragon hunters, flower fairies and beast summoners. Chapter 234. Suyi also brought a lot of 7th tier troops in the fierce battle just now. Many of the 7th tier units brought in were killed. It's lying somewhere on the battlefield in the valley right now. After counting the casualties, Suyi found out that in this battle, at least 150,000 enemy troops were wiped out. The allied forces of the two alliances can be said to have been completely wiped out. On my own side, I also lost more than 2,000 troops, but they are all 7th level cannon fodder. Suyi didn't feel too distressed. As for the harvest, I have to focus on this. The harvest is quite large. Although Tom Wright and Takeshita Jinsong have been forced to go offline and leave the secret realm, failed to dedicate their points. However, apart from these two, Suyi and the others killed quite a few other lords in the two alliances. Although the points of these lords are not as rich as the lords, they still have quite a lot. After accumulating more and more, Suyi and others were provided with nearly 3 million points. 3 million, which is almost higher than Suyi's points. After going through the statistics, Suyi found that his points had reached 4.3 million. It was only in the early 3 million, but I killed many lords and plundered their points to my account. The points of Suziter, Lin Yangtze and others add up to a lot. 3 million, which is not a small amount. As long as Suyi manages well, he can create 3 good rankings. Of course, the premise is that before that, he can get more points. Look at the rankings. Suyi still firmly stayed in the first place, throwing away the second place Tom Wright by 2 million points. This is simply an insurmountable gap. After closing the points ranking panel, Suyi looked at the lords. Don't waste time, clean up the battlefield quickly, Suyi ordered. Lin Yangtze, even other lords naturally dare not neglect, quickly spread out, took their respective arms, entered the battlefield and began to search for resources. Although the quantity is not much, it cannot be wasted. Suyi took the opportunity to ride Chi back to the 3rd level main city that had been captured, then open the map and start to check the number of remaining 3rd level main cities on the map. Unfortunately, after hours of delay now in the 3rd block, the situation has basically been settled. The number of 3rd level main cities is only 2 and each one is far away from Su's. This made Suyi stop thinking about capturing the 3rd level main city. The journey is far away, and it may take a lot of time to get there. After arriving there, the 3rd level main city may also be captured. Instead of wasting time like this, it's better to find some monsters to mess around. Killing them will also give you points. Put the map together. Suyexi rests on the throne on the other side. By the time the battlefield was cleaned up, the sky had already darkened. Those who hesitated to kill were the soldiers of the Human Lord and the Human Lord, so the harvest this time was really rich. There are nearly 1 billion resources alone, and there are many other materials and strange gadgets. After Lin Yangtze and others returned to the main city, they started cooking. In the end, everyone sat around and had a good meal. During the meal, Yafei suddenly said, "Tomorrow is the last day of the activity Secret Realm. What's the leader's plan?" After the words fell, everyone's eyes turned to Suyi. Waiting for his answer, it is no exaggeration to say that their current achievements are all given by Suyi. Regarding the plan, they still wanted to hear from Suyi. The latter took a sip of tea and put down the bowls and chopsticks in his hands. "I have just looked at the map, and all the 3rd level main cities have been captured, but we cannot stop the pace of gaining points. Tomorrow, we still have to fight hard and kill the monster army." Everyone around heard the words and nodded their heads in agreement. Suzir even suggested that after the meal, let the troops go out and start looking for the monster army. After hearing this, Suyi rejected Suzir's suggestion, although he wanted to do it too, but the arms have just experienced a big battle, and now their physical strength is seriously exhausted, and there are even many injured arms. The most urgent thing is to rest well. When everyone heard the words, they also felt that it was true, and they all agreed at the moment. After a full meal, The crowd dispersed and start to rest until 4 in the morning. Su Yu reckoned that everyone had almost rested. That's when everyone shouted, and then went out of the city to start looking for targets to attack. The threat of monster chaos is much smaller than that of the main city. In order to improve efficiency, Su Yu simply divided the army into 2 teams. The one that is completely evenly divided. 500 giant dragons, 500 flower fairies, and 705 lords are allocated like this. Su Yi leads Lim Yangxi and Su Kainer as a group. The remaining group of lords before setting off, Su Yi specifically told him not to fight any lords he met, but to stay away. This is to avoid the outbreak of fighting. The current battle is completely useless to Su Yi and the others anyway. Their points are enough to create 2 good rankings. Hurry up. The troops are divided into 2 groups, and the lords started to look for the monster army to say that this monster is in disorder. The number is really not many, especially when the entire 3rd block has been occupied by the lords. It is really difficult to find the monster army. Fortunately, Su Yi's arms are all high mobility arms with relatively fast speed. Let the giant dragons scatter first, and find traces of the disorderly army, then bring other armies to approach and annihilate them in one fell swoop. All of a sudden, he got a lot of points at the same time. Other lords in the 3rd block are also doing the same behavior as Su Yi and others, crazy looking for monster chaos army. Fight for the last. Chapter 353 Points Trading. Yafai's ranking soars. Subscribed for the 3rd watch, but this time has come, and the final ranking has basically been established. There won't be much change at the end of the last day. Su Yi brought his part of the army to join the others in a wilderness. The 2 sides converged. The moonlight and starlight in the night sky sprinkled on the earth, rendering a silvery radiance. Su Yi found a big rock and sat down. Open the leaderboard now. There are still 5 minutes until the end of the Lord's Hegemony event and the closure of the secret realm, and these 5 minutes are destined to be the most intense 5 minutes of points battle. It is also the 5 minutes to determine the final ranking now that the event is here. Many lords may have discovered such a situation. That's point trading. This gameplay is very important. Even more important than plundering the main city to gain points, because this seemingly inconspicuous gameplay is precisely the most important channel to establish the final points ranking. The so-called point trading is to trade your points to other lords. There are 2 types of transactions. The first is forced passive trading. For example, if you kill a certain lord in a secret territory of the event, then the points in the lord's point account will be automatically traded to your account. This is mandatory and no one can interfere. The second is active trading. For example, point transactions between a group. A lord needs more bonus points in order to win a higher title at this time. It is impossible to kill monsters and capture the main city, so they had to find another way. Trade the points of other lords to one person. In this way, the point value of this person can be greatly increased to obtain a higher ranking, because the ranking of the points ranking, the higher the reward, the richer the reward. Now, the time has come to the last 5 minutes of the Lord's Hegemony event. I believe most of the lords who know this method have already started to act. Su Yi is among them, and he is no exception. Taking a glance at the points ranking, it is as follows. First place, Su Yi, with 4.6 million points. Second place, Ali Gagan, with 2.8 million points. Third place, Kim Soo-hyun, with 275 points. Fourth place, Tom Wright, with 2.71 million points. Fifth place, Zhang Xianaya, with 2.4 million points. Sixth place, Takashita Jinsong, with 2.38 million points. Seventh place, after Tom Wright and Takashita Jinsong were forced to quit the game by Su Yi, their names were quickly surpassed. Now, the second and third places are Ali Gaga and Kim Soo-hyun respectively. Tom Wright and Shinmatsu Takashita, who were second and third before, are now fourth and fifth. I don't know if these 2 guys will vomit 3 liters of blood after knowing this situation. Looking at Su Yi's points, it's as high as 4.6446 million, which is 1.8 million ahead of the second place Ali Jia. Chapter 235. However, this is only a temporary lead, because Su Yi couldn't be sure whether Ali Gaga would use the points of other lords to rank himself. Therefore, Su Yi decided to be straightforward and let Ali Gaga, and the lords behind him, completely die beyond his own heart. Who are you? Trade me 400,000 points, Su Yi said suddenly. His eyes swept over the people in front of him. Everyone looked at each other. Although they didn't understand what Su Yi was going to do, they didn't refuse. Let me do it, use mine. I still have 800,000 points. Brother, I'll give you a deal right now. Looking at the eager crowd, Su Yi was still a little moved. It can be seen that these people have completely believed in themselves, otherwise they wouldn't answer so simply on this kind of matter without thinking too much. Su Yi looked directly at Fang Yun. Come on. Fang Yun nodded. and immediately traded 400,000 points to Suya. Suya was not polite and accepted directly with Feng Yun's 400,000 points blessing. Suya's current points have exceeded 5 million. This number is very large, and it has firmly secured the number 1 throne then. Suya closed the points ranking panel and looked at everyone. Now, proceed to the second step. Eve, Yafei and the others turned their gazes to Suya, waiting for the second half of his sentence. Suya didn't hold back, and said bluntly, I believe you all should know that the higher the ranking of the Lord's hegemony, the better the final reward will be. So I want to gather all your points into one person, raise his rank up. Everyone is not stupid. After listening, they understood what Suya meant. Who is it for? Suya said suddenly, although these rewards will be shared equally in the end, but there must be someone to act as an agent. Suya is also a bit difficult. He will not favor anyone, thought for a while and said, you rock paper scissors. The final winner is the agent of this point ranking. Of course, let me explain in advance, it's just an agent, and the final reward will be shared equally. Everyone looked at each other and smiled, and then began to play rock paper scissors. First 2-2 fights, then the winners play against the winners, and so on. In the end, Yafei won the rock paper scissors championship in a burst of applause. Everyone, I'm sorry, Yafei stuck out her tongue, full of playfulness and cuteness. Suya glanced at the time. There were still 2 minutes left. There was no longer any further delay, and he continued, now, everyone will trade their points to Yafei. Remember, before the transaction, each of you will keep 10,000 points. Everyone obeyed while trading. Su Kainer asked, brother, why do you want to keep 10,000? Isn't it better to trade all of them? Suya went over with a brainstorm. Idiot, I left 10,000 for you, because I want you to have a ranking too. The reward is better than nothing. Su Kainer covered her aching forehead and stuck out her tongue. Got it. While talking, Yafei has already accepted the points traded to her by others under the superposition of hundreds of thousands and hundreds of thousands. Yafei's point balance is growing rapidly. Soon, the results came out, and Yafei's point balance had reached 324. Chapter 354. The first place and the second place belong to Suya. Ask for flowers, ask for votes, ask for everything. That's right. It's more than 3 million. Suya didn't expect there to be so many. This made Yafei's points ranking rise like a rocket beyond Zhang Xianaya, beyond Takashita Jinsong, beyond Tom Wright, even Kim Soo-hyun and Ali Gagan. The number of points was surpassed by Yafei. The current Yafei seems to have become the second place in the ranking after opening the rankings. Everyone saw the scene and congratulated Yafei one after another. Yafei also didn't expect this result, and she was overjoyed and quickly said, it's all thanks to everyone. What can Yafei do? Suya didn't speak, but his eyes kept watching the changes in points in the ranking. Sure enough, it was as expected. Zhang Xianaya, who was ranked 7th, suddenly gained hundreds of thousands of points with 1 minute left, directly surpassed Takashita Jinsong and became the new 6th place when it comes to this term. It seems that his points change has not ended yet, and it is still rising. Finally reached 5th place. That's where the increase stopped. Seeing this scene, Suya narrowed his eyes slightly, thinking to himself that Zhang Xianaya is really smart. From the analysis of the current situation, Suya believes that Zhang Xianaya must still have points left, but he did not choose to sprint for a higher ranking. Instead, only Takashita Jinsong and Tom Wright were squeezed out. This is why at this moment, it is in a third-level main city in the third block. Zhang Xianaya, Li Yunteo, Zhang Jun and others mostly sat together for the Lord. Everyone watched the changes in the rankings. When I saw that Zhang Xianaya's point ranking reached the 5th place, and he stopped moving, Zhang Jun opened his mouth. Xianaya, why don't you continue to fight for the 4th place, or even the 3rd place with our current total points? The words fell, but Zhang Xianaya shook his head. No, we can't charge any more. We still have the energy to score higher points. You think Ali Gaga and Kim Soo-hyun, who are ranked 3rd and 4th, will not have this strength? You guys don't forget that. Yafei. Speaking of this, the Lord in the field gasped. Yes, Yafei. This person is too scary, or rather, the power behind her is too scary. Surprisingly, in a short period of time, from tens of thousands of people, it soared to the 2nd place in one fell swoop. More than 3 million points, which is already more than the total points of some groups. As for Zhang Xianaya, he only chose to surpass Tom Wright and Xia Jinsong because he found that the points of these two people had not moved for a day. This means that these two people have withdrawn from the event, and the points will not change anyway. It will be safer to surpass these two. As for the remaining points, Zhang Xianaya will decide on one person. He guessed that Yafei should have done the same. Now, hand over all your points to Yunteo and prop up his ranking, Zhang Xianaya ordered. When the people heard the words, They followed suit. An application for point trading was made to Li Yunteo. The latter was also polite and accepted them one by one with these blessings. Li Yunteo's points, the number is also steadily increasing. In the end, it successfully entered the top 20 and ranked 18th on the other side. In the third-level main city where Aligaga is located, Ali Gaga looked a little anxious now. His situation is embarrassing. Through the settlement just now, he collected the private points of the lords around him, none of which could exceed 5 million. Only 4 million, that is to say, no matter what, he has no chance of winning the first place. Besides, what makes Aligaga even more angry is that it's just that he missed the first place, so he might not even be able to sprint for the second place. The reason is his alliance combination. Ali Gaga's Divine Cow Alliance is a rare dual leader alliance. What is a double alliance? Leader is an alliance formed by combining two alliances. This kind of alliance can have two leaders of equal status. In addition to Ali Gaga, there is also a guy named Yale, who is the second leader of the God Bull Alliance. The two already had some mistrust, and it was even more so after participating in this points secret realm. Ali Gaga only has 2.828 million points in his hand. The rest of the points are all in the hands of Yale. Aligaga tried to negotiate with Yale and asked Yale to trade the points to himself first to get a better noun for myself. The rewards obtained at the end are divided equally, but Yale disagreed, and he was wary of Ali Gaga. I'm afraid that Ali Gaga will roll up the points and run away. Aligaga was pretty speechless about this. I also wondered if I could trade my points to Yale, but after weighing and thinking twice, Aligaga gave up the idea again. Compared to him, Yale is even less human. If he traded his points, the two of them would be in a stalemate. Until now, there has been no result. No one is willing to trade their share of points to the other party, although they know that combining the points of two people can get more rewards. Bang Bang Nation Kim Soo-hyun Alliance. Their situation is somewhat similar to that of Ali Gaga. The points were not enough to surpass Soo-yi, so he had no choice but to give up. As for surpassing Yao-fi, this is fine, but Kim Soo-hyun believes that instead of getting one good ranking, it is better to divide all the points into two and get two good rankings. And just like that, Yao-fi kept his second place by mistake until the end of the event. Chapter 236. In fact, the most thrilling part of this kind of activity is often the last moment, because no one knows who will be the final winner. What kind of tricks will your opponent come up with to surpass you? Not only that, but at this last moment, it is an extreme test of humanity and the trust between a team. An alliance like Aligaga and Yale is destined to not go far. There is no way. The two of them don't trust each other, although they haven't reached the level of intrigue, but the level of trust is enough for the two of them to drink a pot over time. Sooner or later it will turn into a battle, when the time comes. Chapter 355. Reward Distribution. Random Tier 10 Arms, tens of billions of resources, subscription for the second update. With a countdown to 0, the event of Lords contest is officially over. All the Lords, as well as their respective arms, are about to be sent out of the secret realm. Looking at the people who are about to leave, Soo-yi gave a final warning. After leaving, everyone pack up, the star fields are assembled, and the money will be distributed. As soon as the words fell, Soo-yi felt his body being pulled by a strange force. Then, it disappeared with a whoosh. Also disappeared, as well as his troops, as well as Su-Kainer, Yao-fi and others all disappeared and left this event secret realm. When he regained his senses again, Soo-yi found that he had returned to the star field. Eve is by my side. A giant dragon and the dragon hunter who were sent back together also stood in the open space in front of them. Seeing this scene, Soo-yi knew that the 10-day Lord struggle had truly come to an end. Before he could take any extra action, the system wizard's prompt sounded immediately. Congratulations to Soo-yi, the leader of the Sky Alliance and the Lord of the Star Domain, for winning the first place in this Lord's Hegemony event. You can receive the following rewards: Arbitrary 10-tier Unit Template 1, 100 Basic Resources, Advanced Architectural Blueprint Tower of Thor. The system's notification tone fell, and Soo-yi's breathing began to become faster. Developed. Tier 10 units, tens of billions of resources, and a first-level architectural blueprint. These are all rare and good things. At the same time, Eve, who has only 10,000 points left, seems to have received its own rewards. How? What is the reward? Soo-yi asked. Eve sniffled. 100 million resources. Gone. Soo-yi raised an eyebrow. Eve nodded. No more. Soo-yi was speechless. Relying on. It seems that it really is the ranking, which kills people. A lord with only 10,000 points can only get 100 million resources. Although it is also very rich, it is still pitifully small for Soo-yi and other high-ranking bigwigs. On the other side, a certain location in cowboy country in the Garden of Eden territory, there was a sound of thumping and slamming things in the Lord's Hall. At the same time, there was an unbearable curse. Shit, bastard. You don't want to die, Soo-yi, right? Just wait for me. One day, I, Tom Wright, will lead an army to blast open the gate of China and crush you to pieces. Wait, bastard, that's right, it was Tom Wright who was furious and almost promoted at the moment just now. He received a reward from the Lord Contest event to his surprise. He did, my God, the 6th place. This makes Tom Wright, who has always been ranked first and second, bear it. He can't imagine what happened in the secret territory on the last day of this event, and why his ranking slipped so low in the final analysis. All of this was caused by that bastard Suya. If it weren't for him, Tom Wright wouldn't have been forced out of the event. Tom Wright would not have lost so much if it hadn't been for him. If it weren't for him, Tom Wright's ranking would never have slipped to 6th place. This made Tom Wright's hatred for Suya almost reach a new peak. He can't wait now appeared outside Suya's territory, led his own army to crush Suya, and beat his shit out. But if there is such a chance, will Tom Wright be Suya's opponent? Obviously not, because Suya is the number 1 in this Lord's hegemony. 10 ranks of arms, tens of billions of resources. With the support of these things, Suya's strength will skyrocket, and skyrocket again in the next month. Therefore, this Lord's hegemony event is an important turning point that determines the midterm development of the Lords. Fortunately, Suya successfully grasped this turning point. Takeshita Jinmatsu was equally angry with Tom Wright. In other words, he is more unfortunate than Tom Wright because his ranking turned out to be 8th. This made Takeshita Jinsung almost lose his mind. Damn, it's too bullying. Isn't it just going offline one day earlier? As a result, those who stay in the secret territory are all devils. Apart from the atmosphere, Takeshita Jinsung has more regrets in his heart. You said that you are fine, why go to provoke Suya, right? Now that you are fine, you have put the Fuji Alliance's background to the bottom. He also managed to beat himself to autistic retirement. Now, the points have not been earned, and the ranking is also low, and there are 7 or 8 dead. 10,000 arms want to cry but have no tears, Amidst the sad atmosphere, Takeshita Jin let go, and began to point the finger at Suya. He felt that all of this was caused by Suya. This guy must pay the price. Just wait, when I rule the Sakura Kingdom, it will be the day I attack China. At that time, I will personally poke 100 transparent holes in your body, Takeshita Jinsung said viciously. His pupils were bloodshot. Hanan City, Maniu Mountain, Starfield territory. After receiving the reward, Suya waited here for 10 minutes. Suzir, Duan Qinglian, Yafei and others came one after another. As soon as everyone left the portal, they ran to find Suya, then gather in the Lord's Hall of the Star Domain. Yafei didn't play tricks either, and revealed all the rewards she got as soon as she arrived as the 2nd place in this Lord's hegemony. Her reward is not as generous as the 1st place Suya. However, it should definitely not be underestimated. First of all, it is a rank 9 and 9 arms Mountain Shaker. This is a giant-shaped unit, known for its defense, strength and attack, but its speed is poor. But in group battles, it can explode with super fighting power, which is very powerful. In addition to arms, Yafei also received resource rewards and building rewards just like Suya, 6 billion resources, and Hannes Cannon. 6 billion resources is not a small amount. Even if Suya is excluded and the rest are divided equally, each person can get 1 billion resources. As for the Hannes Cannon, this is a first-class blueprint. Chapter 356, The Mountain Shaker and the Storm Spirit. Hannes Giant Cannon, a barrel with a length of 20 meters and a diameter of 2 meters. Which can launch huge shells and bomb the designated target within a radius of 30 kilometers. Glancing at the introduction of the Hannes Giant Cannon, Suya's breath became short of breath. 3.330 kilometers in radius. Damn, this range is too far. I just don't know how the cost is. If it is acceptable, then this Hannes Giant Cannon is a proper artifact for city defense. There are monsters coming, and they can be shot at 30 kilometers away, blowing them away. So happy. After counting Yafei's harvest, Suya began to distribute 6 billion resources. Just leave yourself alone. The rest of the people are 1 billion each. Is for Hannes Cannon and Mountain Shaker. This Suya decided to keep it by himself. Tier 9 and 9 armies, the mountain shaking giant spirit. I decided to stay in the Starfield territory. After I am trained, I will be mobilized to your territory. Do you have any opinions? With that said, Suya looked around at the crowd. In fact, he did it for a reason. The training of Tier 9 and 9 arms requires a lot of resources, so I won't mention this for now. The main thing is the training time, which takes too long. I have a god level cooldown, which can reduce the training time of units by 99%, which is enough to ensure that the most mountain-shaking monsters can be trained in the shortest time. In this way, a lot of time can be saved. As for the others, Suya can train the Mountain Shaker and transfer them to various territories. Everyone was a little puzzled, but after listening to Suya's explanation, they all agreed that's true, leaving aside the issue of training time. There is only one Mountain Shaker, and it would be unfair to put it in the territory of any of their lords except Suya, so I simply stayed here with Suya. Coupled with Suya's God-level cooling talent, I believe that a large number of mountain-shaking giant spirits can be created soon. At that time, it will not be too late to make a distribution. After everyone had no opinion, Suya felt relieved, and after distributing the resources, he let them leave. It has been 10 days since they entered the event Secret Realm, and there must be a lot of things to deal with in their territory. Suya naturally wouldn't keep them any longer. The lords didn't think much about it, and returned to their respective portals and returned to their respective territories. After they left, Suya was not idle. Take Eve straight to the gold mine. That's the most important thing. I hope there will be no problems. 10 minutes later, Suya and Eve fell from the sky. When I saw that the gold mine was still operating in an orderly manner, I was relieved. Landing in Territory 1, Suya saw Banners here. According to Suya's previous request, Banners has been stationed here these days to ensure the safety of the gold mine. Of course, Andre from Territory number 2 and number 2 is also with him. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 237. At this moment, Banners saw Suya coming back, and hurriedly greeted him. Well, there's nothing wrong with it? Suya asked. Banners slapped his chest loudly, with a face full of questions. The corners of Suya's eyes twitched, and he didn't bother to pay attention to the braggart. Go straight to the end of the production line and check the number of gold coins collected since last time. 12 days have passed, and 600 million gold coins have been accumulated here, which is not too little. Suya was not polite, took it out and put it in the pocket. These gold coins will be needed to train the troops later. Then, under the leadership of Banners, Suya and Eve patrolled the entire defense line of the gold mine. Fortunately, everything is as usual. After making sure there was nothing wrong here, Suya asked Eve to stay and left alone. He didn't return directly to the Star Domain, but went to the Orange Secret Realm. The violence is imminent, so the more gold coins, the better. When Suya arrived at the Orange Secret Realm, it was already night. What is different from usual is that today's Orange Secret Realm looks much deserted. There are not many lords and units here. Suya rode blazing into it directly, and then wandered around the secret territory. First, I inspected my own 10 level 10 resource points, and harvested about 500 million gold coins. Then he glanced at Lin Yangxi and Su Kainer's resource points. Fortunately, there is no problem. After finishing these, Suya set off to return to the star field. When we got back, it was early morning. Suya did not take a rest immediately, but opened the information panel of the Star Domain, as follows: Lord Hall, Lord, Suya level 6 Sky Alliance, Cloud Territory, Red Rose Territory, Clearwater Territory, Galaxy Territory, Dryad Territory, Subordinate Territory, Warhammer Tribe Building. 24 Arms, Giant Dragon, 10th Tier, Centaur, 4th Tier 4, Blade Spider, 4th Tier 4, Goblin, 1st Tier, Scarlet Armored Fire Ant, 4th Tier 4, Slinger Giant, Level 7, Undead Knight, Level 7, Dragon Hunter, Level 8, Giant Spirit Shaking Mountains, Level 9, Population 36 Wood, 12 billion Stone Mine, 12 billion Iron Ore, 11 billion Gold Coins, 13 billion Food, 860,000 Currency, 810,000 needs for upgrade. Wood, stone ore, iron ore, and gold coins are each 5 million. I took a glance at the resource reserves, and it was as expected by Suya. The 3 resources of wood, stone ore and iron ore are a total of 1.2 billion. The gold coins are more than 131.3 billion, which is a huge wealth that Suya has never accumulated. Of course, Suya is very self-aware. Don't look at the more than 10 billion gold coins now, but if they are used to train arms, especially high-level arms such as 9th and 10th tiers, I am afraid that they will be spent in minutes. He shook his head helplessly, pushing the messy thoughts out of his head. Suya opened the template pack of a random 10th tier unit. A blinding white light flashed, and the system's notification sounded. Congratulations, you have obtained the template of the 10th tier unit, Spirit of the Storm. Suya frowned. He had never heard of the Spirit of the Storm, but since it is a 10th tier unit, it must not be too weak. You'll know when you get out of training. Thinking of this, Suyi went straight to the outer city, prepared to build a barracks here. Don't ask why it's here, there is only one reason: the inner city can't let it go. Take out the templates for the units of the Mountain Shaker and the Storm Spirit, and Suyi starts to build Chapter 357, an unprecedented violent soldier asking for flowers, asking for tickets, asking for everything. Consume 6 million lumber, stone mines, iron mines, and gold coins each, and successfully build the mountain-shaking giant spirit camp. It costs 8 million lumber, stone mines, iron mines, and gold coins each to successfully build the storm spirit camp. With a fall of 2 prompts, the construction of the troop camp has already started. Above the 2 camps, there are 2 progress bars floating slowly. Suyi was a little bored, so he went to where the dragon's nest was. Now the level of the dragon nest in the star domain is level 6, and the specific information is as follows: dragon nest, level 10, level 6 units. 17 training template, giant dragon training cost, 200,000 gold coins. Training time, 24 hours required for upgrade, lumber, stone, iron ore, gold ore each 1 billion, time 960 hours. Now Suyi has a lot of gold coins in reserve, so he decided to train the number of dragons to 2,000, that is, rounding up an integer. Training 247 giant dragon skills costs 4 gold coins, 9 billion. The notification sound fell, and Suyi's gold coin reserves dropped by a small amount. Regardless of the next training process, Suyi returned to the outer city. The camps of Mountain Shaker and Storm Spirit have been built here. The specific information is as follows: Mountain Shaker Camp, level 10th grade, level 1 unit. 0 training template, Mountain Shaker training cost, 100,000 gold coins. Training time, 16 hours. Upgrade required, wood, stone, iron ore. Each gold mine is 1.2 million, and the time is 36 hours. Storm Spirit Camp, Tier 10, level 1 unit. 0 training template, Storm Spirit training cost, 200,000 gold coins. Training time, 24 hours. Upgrade required, wood, stone, iron, 1.6 million each, 48 hours. Like ordinary first level territories, the training peak is only 10 tens. Without further ado, let's start training. It cost 1.5 million gold coins to train 10 mountain-shaking giant spirits successfully. It cost 2 million gold coins to train 10 storm spirits successfully. The notification tone falls and the training begins. This time, Suyi did not choose to leave, but stayed where he was, waiting for the first batch of mountain shakers and storm spirits to appear under the blessing of the god level cooldown. After more than 10 minutes, the first giant mountain shaker appeared. It was a giant soldier over 10 meters tall wearing a brown armor. The muscles are knotted, and the whole body is full of explosive power. This is the Mountain Shaker, Suyi murmured hastily through a detection skill at the newly trained big guy. Soon, the attribute panel of the Mountain Shaker appeared in front of him. Mountain Shaking Giant Spirit, level, Tier 9, level 9. 1 HP. 180,000 attack power. 70 defense power. 80 speed. 39 skill, Giant Spirit Roar. Mountain Shaking Giant Spirit opens its mouth and roars, fanning the fan-shaped range in front of it. All enemies within will deal sonic damage, and have a 50% chance to cause Naruto effect tinnitus effect, loss of hearing in a short period of time, and additional slight dizziness, lasting for 2 seconds. Jin Mountain Shaking. The Mountain Shaking Giant Spirit summons a big mountain, and uses the mountain as a shield to defend itself against attacks from the enemy. When the mountain is summoned, the Mountain Shaking Giant Spirit's speed slows down by 20%, and its defense power increases by 50%. Mountain Shaking Skydrop. The Mountain Shaking Giant Spirit transmits the mountain to the top of the enemy's head, allowing the mountain to fall. Once hit, it can be seen that the enemy is suppressed, and the control effect is realized. The control time is determined by the Mountain Shaking Giant Spirit Sky Crash. After the Mountain Shaker's anger gauge is full, the ultimate skill that can be activated will detonate the summoned mountain, causing extremely terrifying explosive damage, and at the same time increase the main body, all attributes by 30%, and restore 30% of the maximum life value. Description: the legendary mountain moving family worked hard for generations to move mountains. Over time, they moved the heavens and were endowed with a terrifying power to shake the mountains with just a glance. Suyi's eyes lit up. Fortunately, it is a unit with comprehensive attributes: high health, high defense, high attack, but the speed is a bit low. But it doesn't matter. Who made this guy a long-range attack? The first skill, Roar of the Giant Spirit, is a rare sonic attack skill, and it can also add negative effects tinnitus for 2 seconds. Although the negative effect of tinnitus has little effect on the battlefield, it is better than nothing. What's more, once the negative effect is hit, besides the simple tinnitus, there will also be dizziness. This is very important. The second skill, Giant Spirit Shaking Mountain, is the core skill of Mountain Shaking Giant Spirit. Because the latter two skills are all released based on this skill, a mountain is summoned, the speed is reduced by 20%, and the defense power is increased by 50%. The summoned mountain can also be used as a shield to resist attacks from the enemy. It's not bad, it's perfect for playing forward in group battles. A row of mountain shaking giant spirits in front, all carrying the mountain together, march forward mightily. It can easily resist all kinds of incoming attacks, create favorable output conditions for the crispy units behind. The third skill, Shaking the Mountain and Falling from the Sky, is a real control skill. Teleports the summoned mountain to the top of the enemy and then falls. Press the enemy down the mountain, causing huge damage and controlling effect at the same time. Imagine, this multi-ton mountain falls from the sky. Who can stand it? Once hit, it will be a broken bone. The last skill is a rare anger skill. What is the anger skill? Is to release this skill, you need to accumulate anger rather than release as you wish. Although there is a limitation of the anger gauge, the power of this skill is often stronger than ordinary skills. When the sky collapses, the summoned mountain will be detonated, causing huge damage, increasing the body attributes by 30%, and restoring the maximum HP by 30%. A comprehensive skill that combines attribute increase and life recovery. Very good, quite good. Greatly increased the survivability of the mountain shakers in a battle. The longer you live, the more damage you can do. Chapter 358, The Storm Spirits Riding the Wind Realm. Second watch subscription. After closing the attribute panel of the mountain shaker, Suyu looked at the freshly baked storm spirit on the other side. Compared with a huge body of mountain shaker, Storm Spirit is much smaller. A blue battle armor wrapped the whole body. 2 red lights emerged from under the helmet, exuding a breathtaking and strange light. What surprised Suyu was that the spirit of the storm had no entity. It looks more like a set of blue armor, suspended in mid-air. Of course, if you observe carefully, you can also see that under the blue armor, there is a group of wind that is moving all the time. This should be the main body of the storm spirit. Chapter 238. After taking a closer look, Suyi threw out his detection skills and began to check the basic attributes of the storm spirit, as follows. Storm Spirit, level, 10th level, 1 HP, 200,000 attack power, 12 defense power, 80 speed, 55 skills. Deadly Wind Blade. The spirit of the storm is a spirit born in the storm, with a unique ability to control the storm. In the battle, they will condense the storm together to form a wind blade, fly out to cut the enemy. The wind blade has a super cutting ability, and ignores 50% of the defense effect. Tornado. Storm Spirit summons a tornado, throws it towards the designated area of the battlefield, causes a lot of magic damage to the enemies within the area, and pulls the enemies to the center of the tornado to achieve the control effect. Each tornado lasts for 1 minute. Wind Riding Field. The Storm Spirit creates a wind riding field with a radius of 100 meters around itself, and all friendly troops in this field will increase their speed attributes by 30%. Eye of the Storm. The spirit of the storm installs an Eye of the Storm on the battlefield. After the Eye of the Storm is planted, it will continue to absorb energy. It can also be manually transferred by the spirit of the storm. When the energy of the Eye of the Storm reaches a certain amount, it can be detonated, causing huge damage to surrounding enemies. Description. A magical intelligent creature born in the land of storms, with extremely fast speed and high damage. Glancing at the attribute panel of Storm Spirit, Suyu narrowed his eyes. This is a typical assassin monster. Compared with ordinary 10th tier troops, the health value is low and the defense power is low. However, its attack power and speed surpassed some ordinary 10th order giant dragons, and the skills of the Storm Spirit are also extremely powerful. The Deadly Wind Blade can ignore 50% of the defense effect, not to mention anything else. Just the attack effect that ignores 50% defense is enough to show the horror of this skill. For example, giant dragons have always been known for their rough skin and thick flesh. The enemy's attack falls on them without pain or itching, and the Deadly Wind Blade skill of the Storm Spirit can ignore 50% of the defense effect. What does this mean? This means that the Dragon Gundam, tens of thousands, in front of them, can't play a big role. The second skill is Tornado. Typical control skills, and can last for a minute. Pull the enemies within the range, and forcibly left and right. Their actions provides favorable conditions for Storm Spirit's other attacks. The third skill is Wind Riding Domain. Suyu valued this skill very much. He has seen a lot of auxiliary domain skills, but most of them add attributes such as attack and defense. It's the first time he saw the direct acceleration in this field. The speed is increased by 30%. This increase is not small, especially for some bulky meat shield units. It is even more precious. For example, the Mountain Shaker that was trained just now, speed is their shortcoming. If you can increase the speed attribute by 30%, calculated based on the 390 degrees of the Mountain Shaker increase by 30%, that is to increase the speed by 117 points in addition to the original 390 speed, it can even directly make the speed of Mountain Shaker break through 500. What kind of concept is this? You need to know that the speed of the Giant Dragon is only 500. And the speed of a meat shield unit like the Mountain Shaker can exceed 500, which is simply the sublimation of texture. So you could even show the wonderful reaction that would be produced if the Mountain Shaker and the Storm Spirit were to act together. Therefore, this wind riding domain can be regarded as the core skill of the Storm Spirit. The fourth skill, Eye of the Storm. This skill is similar to landmines. Place the Eye of the Storm on the battlefield, and then absorb energy, or manually transfer energy. When the energy is absorbed to a certain extent, it can be detonated to cause huge damage. Cooperating with the previous tornado control, it should be possible to play a wave of skills. It's a great skill and well worth developing. Satisfied with closing the attribute panel of Storm Spirit, Suya heaved a sigh of relief. In spite of whether it is the Mountain Shaker or the Storm Spirit, he is very satisfied. Worth the rage watching the two barracks training in an orderly manner. Suya no longer waited, but returned to the private house and began to rest. Early the next morning, Suya woke up and went straight to the outer city. The training of Storm Spirit and Mountain Shaker here has been completed. A total of 20 units are neatly arranged in the territory. Suya was not polite to them either, and directly raised the level of the two barracks. It costs 1.2 million lumber, stone ore, iron ore, and gold coins each to raise the level of the Mountain Shaker barracks to level 2. It is estimated that it will take 36 hours. It costs 1.6 million lumber, stone ore, iron ore, and gold coins each to raise the level of the Storm Spirit barracks to level 3. It is estimated that it will take 48 hours. The prompt tone falls and the upgrade starts. Suya turned and left, boarded the city wall, and took out the blueprints of Hannes Cannon and Thor Tower. He has already learned that the Hannes Cannon is an artillery-type city defense weapon. The Tower of Thunder God is a city defense weapon similar to the Mage Tower. They are all obtained from the Lord Z Gemini activities, and the power is definitely not small. So, Suya decided to make it and try something new. Sure enough, what Suya expected was that the construction of these two types of weapons required a huge amount of resources, not to mention the Hannes Giant Cannon. The Tower of Thunder God actually needs 100 million basic resources to build. Not only that, but it also needs a special material, Thorstone, to complete the construction. Chapter 359 The Tower of Thunder God. Thorstone, Suya muttered to himself. Suddenly his eyes lit up. He remembered that he had this thing himself. This is not bragging, it is true. It was opened by opening the treasure chest before, and I thought it was useless at the time. So I kept throwing it at the bottom of the chest in the Lord's space. Now it seems that this thing has finally found a use. Without further ado, Suya directly took out a Thorstone. What appeared in his hand at this moment was a livid purple stone the size of an apple. His whole body flickered with crackling electric arcs and made a crackling sound. Even Suya didn't dare to directly touch the surface of the Thorstone. Fortunately, after this thing is taken out, it will automatically suspend in midair. This also avoided Suya's direct contact. Then, Suya began to build the Tower of Thunder God. Consume wood, stone ore, iron ore, and gold coins of 100 million each, and one piece of Thor's stone to build the Thor's tower successfully. As soon as the words fell, a phantom of a huge tower appeared on the city wall in front of Suya. It has not yet become a solid body, and at this moment a progress bar is slowly scrolling. It took 72 hours to build. Even if Suya has 99% reduction in construction time, it will take more than 40 minutes to complete the construction. In desperation, Suya had no choice but to leave temporarily, go to the other site and take out the blueprint of Hannes Cannon. Start building. This blueprint actually asks for gems. The construction cost only needs 50 million basic resources, but Suya manually added a few explosive gems. Banners once said that the explosive gem is a very rare gem that can increase damage. It can be fused with weapons, and can also be fused with some offensive city defense equipment. This Hannes Giant Cannon is a kind of city defense equipment, and it can naturally be fused with explosive gems. Sure enough, after Suya added 2 blasting gems, the construction of the Hannes Cannon had already started. The progress bar scrolls take advantage of the idle time between the construction of the Tower of Thunder and the cannon of Hannes. Suya returned to the outer city. The upgrades of the Storm Spirit barracks and Mountain Shaker barracks here have been completed. Now the levels are all level 2, and the peak value of trainable units is 50. Without further ado, Let's get started. It cost 8 million gold coins to train 40 storm spirits successfully. It cost 6 million gold coins to train 40 mountain-shaking giants successfully. As the notification tone fell, the two barracks continued to operate. Suya didn't wait, but returned to the city wall of the outer city. Wait here for the construction of Thor's tower and cannon to be completed. 30 minutes later, Hannah's cannon was the first to complete the construction. What appeared in front of Suya at this moment was a giant cannon with a length of 20 meters. The black cannon barrel sticks out long, aiming at the valley outside the city. Suya patted the cannon barrel, making a dull sound on a whim. He came directly. Only a bang was heard, and a giant shell was fired. It pierced through the sky and flew to a place thousands of meters away. Then it explodes at the end of Suyi's vision. In the valley outside the city, a small hill has burst open. The original small hill has now turned into a huge pit. The broken soil is flying, and there is still smoke, thick smoke. Seeing this scene, Suya secretly admired in his heart. This power is indeed stronger than ordinary cannons. The most important thing is that the range is far enough to give monsters a bad start when they first appear on the other side. The Tower of Thunder God has also been built, height more than 20 meters, towering above the city wall. Chapter 239. On the top of the tower, a huge electric ball is suspended. Lightning arcs flicker. Terrifying lightning power is overflowing from the electric ball. Looking at it makes one's scalp tingle. This thing attacks automatically, so Suya can't make him attack manually. It's the lightning dragon in the city. As if they were stimulated, they all flew out together. Dozens of lightning dragons gathered above the Tower of Thunder God. The electric ball on top of Thor's tower begins to release lightning. The crackling sound was incessant. The tens of meters long electric arc was stimulated and fell on those lightning giant dragons. Let those guys enjoy it a lot. Suya was a little dumbfounded, but soon he reacted. It's not difficult to understand why the lightning dragon would do this. These guys have a passive ability that is, I like to take a bath in the thunder pond. Suya doesn't have a thunder pond here. There is such a Tower of Thunder God, so naturally it became a place for these guys to satisfy their hunger. It's so comfortable to let that crispy electric current spread all over the body. After standing on the city wall and observing for a while, Suya got down from the city wall, go back to the Lord's Hall and start preparing for the next thing for him now. He already has a troop template: 2 tier 10 arms, 2 tier 9 arms, and many tier 8 arms. These ranks of troops are enough for Suya to use for a while, but now, what he lacks the most should be resources, or simply gold coins. Don't look at the fact that Suya has occupied a gold mine now, and at the same time has tens of billions of resources in his pocket. Actually, this is not enough, especially under the premise of supporting Suya's violent soldiers. These resources are not enough. Therefore, Suya needs more resources and more gold coins. As for the methods and ways to obtain these, Suya now has two. First, in the territory of the earth, look for more gold mines to occupy. This is a feasible method. Second, go to other worlds and start plundering. In fact, the path of development in the Age of Lords is very simple and clear. Trade, climb technology, conquer trade, needless to say, is to make a big fuss through the system wall. For example, in the territory of Dryads, sell rare Dryads that other lords do not have, and get a lot of currency. Then use currency to buy resources, or buy arms from other lords. This is transaction development. Climb the road of technology, which is the so-called occupation of resource points. Crazy occupation of all resource points. You can see accumulate a lot, and you can get a lot of resources. Chapter 360, the expressway leading to the land from Huxon Island. One more subscription. The last one is to fight, the fastest way to get money, but also the most risky way to take this path. You need to have enough strength, conquer other lords and other races to plunder a lot of resources for your own development to be stronger, and Suya is now fully capable of taking this path. So, the next step, he decided to start invading the plane. It can't be called an invasion, it's just going to other planes to dig for treasure and plunder it. After writing down the plan, Suya got up and left the Lord's Hall. For the next few days, Suya stayed in the star field, developing with peace of mind. Well, it's actually a riot even if he has a god level cooldown. It will take a lot of time to create a strong enough army. It took a full 20 days. Suya finally completed his first stage of violent soldiers. At this moment, the outer city of the star domain, there are densely packed various types of arms. There are mainly 3 categories. The first type, Giant Dragon, is Suya's veteran unit, with a quantity of 2,000. Of course, not all of them are here, and most of them have been sent to various secret realms and territories to guard them. The second category is the Mountain Shaker. After more than 20 days of training day and night, Suya has already trained 100 units of Mountain Shaker. The cost is 1.5 billion at this moment. These tall, and thick guys are standing neatly in the open space of the outer city. It looks mighty and domineering. The third category is the new rookie, The Spirit of the Storm is Suyu's second 10th tier unit. They also successfully proved their strength to Suyu. That's why he got extensive training from Suyu. There are a total of 2,000 heads, the same number as the giant dragon, and the cost is 4 billion up to now. Suyu has spent more than half of the gold coins he got from the Lord's Hegemony secret territory. His strength has also risen with the tide, more than double. There are more than 6 billion gold coins left. Suyu still decided to vote for the Dragon and the Spirit of the Storm. These two are his only second tier 10th tier units now. And they will also be his main force for a long time to come. Worthy of violence. While Suyu was staying in the Starfield territory, there was a storm of soldiers day and night. Several other territories under the Sky Alliance are also not affected. Giant territory, Cloud territory, Clearwater territory, Galaxy territory, Red Rose territory, and Goldmine number 1. Number 2 and number 2 territories are all developing rapidly. With the 10 billion capital obtained in the last Lord's Hegemony event, it is enough to make these territories. Huan, for example, in the Galaxy territory, Suyu just went there with the cooperation of Lin Yangtze and Vulcan. Yangtze's lake-filling project has been perfectly completed on the island in the center of Yanhu Lake. There is a road that truly connects to the land. Although it is not spacious, it is enough for walking. With this road, Lin Yangtze's troops can reach the land more easily. Of course, the troops on land can also reach the Galaxy territory more easily. Therefore, the little girl followed Suyu's suggestion and walked on the road leading to the island in the center of Yanhu Lake. A barrier has been established. Send troops to guard day and night, then build some cannons, crossbows, mage towers and so on. This can completely protect the road that must be passed, so as to ensure the safety of the Milky Way territory on the island in the middle of the lake behind. After returning from the Galaxy territory, Suyu made another trip to the Giant territory. After leaving the portal, the Tree Demon territory in front of Suyu has taken on a new look. It's completely different from what I saw last time. Among them, the biggest change is the area of the Tree Demon's territory expanded several times. More than a month ago, Suyu and Suzu expanded the Tree Demon's territory. However, due to limited resources, the expansion project was not completed perfectly this time. After coming out of the secret territory of the Lord's Hegemony event, Suzu has a large amount of money injected. She put all these resources into the expansion project of the Giant's territory. Now, this is the scene Suyu saw before his eyes. There are towering 5-level city walls, and neatly divided spiritual fields. It occupies almost 2/3 of the Giant's territory. Many of the spiritual fields have already planted spiritual wheat. At this moment, when the breeze blows, the golden wheat waves can't stop rolling, which makes people happy to watch. Suyu rode blazing and patrolled the air for a while, and they found Suzu, who was patrolling in the spiritual field, and then landed. Suzu had already noticed that Suyu was coming, and now the two met. The little girl looked smug and proud, and wanted to raise her little head, asking for credit in front of Suyu. Brother, how is it? The construction here is not bad. Suyu nodded upon hearing the words, not bad. With my demeanor, Suzu curled her lips. What about your demeanor? I created all of these. Suyu shrugged, and then began to ask Sukainer some questions. From Sukainer's mouth, Suyu learned in the current Tree Demon territory, the number of Tree Demons has exceeded 2,000, and all under the leadership of the Golden Tree Demon King. Let them devote themselves to the maintenance of Lingshan at the same time. Since Suyu proposed to expand the Tree Demon's territory last time, the manufacture of Lingshan has been going on like a raging fire. That's right, the so-called Lingshan also needs to be created even in the territory of the Tree Demon. It is the same. Chapter 240. First, divide the land in the Giant's territory into squares of equal size. Then, the transformation of Lingshan began. Fields that have not been transformed can only be regarded as ordinary land, not as fertile as Lingdan, and without various bonuses. Although the crops planted on this kind of land can mature, they can also produce food. However, the time required will be greatly extended. Second, production will also drop significantly. As I said before, 3 factors are needed to ensure the maximum yield of a spiritual field. First, the quality of Lingshan ordinary land needs to be transformed into spiritual fields. This can greatly increase crop yield. Second, Jinkala fertilizer. Even though it is optional, it is also very important. With it, the growth time of crops can be greatly reduced, and the yield of crops can be increased. The output of Jinkala requires the use of Tree Demons. Chapter 361. Super Lingshan. Second, watch for subscription. Third, the Dryad. Most important factor, the crops in Lingshan need them to take care of them. Jinkala fertilizer needs them to produce. Therefore, they are the top priority for cultivating spiritual fields and planting crops. Suzu strictly abides by these 3 conditions. The Dryad territory is in her hands, and its development is orderly currently. The tree demon territory is in the stage of spiritual field transformation under the care of the tree demons. The large tracts of spiritual fields are undergoing transformation only when they are truly transformed into spirit fields. Can they be used to grow crops and produce food? After all, the spiritual fields here are planted with spiritual wheat. Our average daily food output should reach 1 million units, Suzy said. Suyi's face changed slightly when he heard this, and he shook his head. 1 million? No, 1 million is not enough. Suzy's face froze. 1 million is not enough. This is almost the maximum she can do right now. Her strength is only so small, and expanding the territory of the tree demon will reduce the defense in all directions of the tree demon's territory and disguise force. Brother, this is the best I can do, Suzy said. Suyihun, I know, but it's really not enough. You take me to the golden tree demon king. I want to talk to it. Suzy was a little confused. She didn't know what Suyi was going to talk to the golden tree demon king, but he still complied, leading Suyi towards the direction of Lingshan. As Suyi walked, he looked around at the surrounding scene. The spiritual fields were divided into pieces, and the dryads were busy standing on the ridges, busy with fertilizing and releasing the unique ability of the dryad to transform the soil quality of the spirit field. After the expansion of the dryad's territory, the number of spirit fields doubled. The average daily output of food is as high as 1 million units, but Suyi still feels that it is not enough. Of course there is a reason for this, not to mention anything else. Just the star domain, 2,000 dragons, 2,000 storm spirits, 1,000 mountain shakers, 1,000 dragon hunters, and 1,000 undead knights. The daily food consumption of these arms is about 500,000. You heard it right, it is 500,000 units, not 50,000, every day without fighting. So much food needs to be consumed, and if there is a war, how can there be enough food? Especially after this wave of violent soldiers, star food consumption has doubled as a last resort. Suyi took out a lot of food in his stockpile and fed it to the troops. The tree demon territory is the only territory under Suyi that can provide a large amount of food resources. You can imagine how precious it is. In fact, after this lord battle is over, I believe many lords will gradually feel that food resources are not enough. There are a lot of resources in the air, but because of food, they dare not use them to train troops. This is the saddest. I used to say that there are no resources, no gold coins. As long as you give me enough gold coins, I can train you thousands of troops. But is that really the case? Of course not, because these lords have overlooked a vital and fatal problem, that is food. Although it is difficult to obtain gold coins, it is much easier than food. With the gold coins, you can train troops, but with arms, if your food production can't keep up, what will happen? You can't afford it. Therefore, at this stage, many lords who have obtained a lot of resources from the lord's hegemony activity don't dare to take this money at all. Money to train troops, because it's useless after training. They can't afford it. They don't have enough food. Troops will forcibly fall into the sleeping stage, or even defect directly at that time. It will be a bigger loss. Suyi was aware of this, so he felt that the output of this million food was not enough because he has an alliance. A mere million of food is far from enough. Not long after, Suzir led Suyi to find the golden tree demon king. This guy is setting up dryads to work. Seeing Suyi coming at this moment, he quickly put down the work at hand and saluted Suyi. Meet the ally. Suyi waved his hand, signaling to the golden tree demon king that there is no need to be polite, and then asked directly, I want to increase food production. Do you have a way? Seeing that the golden tree demon king was hesitant to increase food production, Suyi repeated what he had just said. Seeing that Suyi didn't look like he was joking, the golden tree demon king came back to his senses and nodded. There's a way, but it requires a lot of resources. When Suyi heard this, his eyes lit up. Sure enough, he knew that the golden tree demon king must have a solution. Whatever method, you can say it, as long as it can be achieved. Resources are not a problem, Suyi said. What he lacks most now is food. As long as there is a way to increase the production of food, he will naturally do his best to achieve his goal. The golden tree demon king coughed lightly and continued, there are two methods. First, continue to expand the territory and create more spiritual fields. As soon as the words fell, Suzir beside Suyi was the first to speak out. But our combat units are limited. If we expand our territory, we won't be able to defend such a long city wall. Indeed, expanding the territory not only requires a lot of resources, but also requires enough troops to protect the city walls. Then you can use the second method to develop a super spiritual field, the Golden Dryad Dominion. Super Lingshan. Suyi frowned. He had never heard of what this was. The golden tree demon king saw Suyi and Suzir's bewildered looks, as if he had expected it, and continued, super spiritual fields are an advanced version of ordinary spiritual fields. which can double or even triple the food production. As soon as these words came out, Suyu was moved under the premise that the number of spiritual fields remains the same. The food production can be doubled, or even 200. Let me be darling. Let's take the 1 million output from the Dryad's territory as an example. If there is a super spiritual field, wouldn't the 1 million food output be turned into 2 million, or even 3 million? This is exactly what Suyu wanted. Chapter 362, The Spirit of the Land, the Secret Realm of Plants. What exactly needs to be done? Suyu asked. He knew that the Golden Tree Demon King would definitely have a solution. It's just that this so-called super spiritual field has never been heard of even in his previous life. What can we do to get it out? The Golden Tree Demon King was silent for a while, and then said, "Then I'm afraid I have to go to the world of our tree demons." During this time, I suddenly remembered many things, including the method of opening up this super spirit field. Suyu narrowed his eyes slightly. He had heard from the Golden Dryad King that it, and all the Dryads, came from a plane of plant arms in that world. All living beings are plant soldiers. Dryads are just one branch of them. The transformation of a super spiritual field requires an ordinary spiritual field as the foundation. In addition, it also needs the most important thing, which is the spirit of the land. Grinding them into powder can change the soil quality of the spiritual field and transform the spiritual field. It is a super spiritual field to achieve the effect of increasing production. After hearing the explanation from the Golden Tree Demon King, Suyu understood the emotional process is not complicated. Just need to find the spirit of the land, and to find the spirit of the land, you need to go to the plane of plant soldiers. Then do you know how to get to the plane of plant soldiers? Suyu asked. Suddenly the Golden Tree Demon King fell into deep thought again, as if he was thinking and remembering something. After a while, it raised its head. I only remember that the passage leading to the plane of plant soldiers is very secret. Please give me some time to think about it. The Lord. Hearing this, Suyu shrugged helplessly and could only agree. Well, think about it slowly. Let me know when you have a clue, and we will immediately set off. Go to the plane of plant arms, and look for the spirit of the land. The Golden Tree Demon King nodded, and went to the side to recall the past. Sukainor tugged at the corner of Suyu's clothes. Brother, are we really going to that plane of plant arms? Suyu nodded, with a firm attitude. Of course, this is an excellent opportunity for us to increase food production, and we cannot miss it. Suyu gritted her silver teeth, and said nothing more. Chapter 241. But in her heart, there was always some worry. She felt that even if they found the location of the plant arms plane, it would not be easy to get the spirit of the land. She has a hunch, and her hunch was very accurate. Then, Suyu wandered around in the tree demon's territory, and pointed out a few unreasonable places to Suyu. Another 300 units of food were drawn from the warehouse in the Dryad territory before leaving to return to the Star Domain territory. After returning to the Star Field, Suyu continued to fight without hesitation. Soldiers are the most important thing in the Age of Lords. As long as the food is affordable, they can be violent all the time. What's more, Suyu's current troop template is the 10th rank. At least for the next year, it will still be Suyu's main force. The future of the Star Domain depends on them. Currently, the barracks level of the Mountain Shaker is level 5. Trainable units peak at 100, already trained to full capacity. So the continued training of this unit was simply stopped, and all the remaining funds were prepared to be invested in the training of the Giant Dragon and the Spirit of the Storm. So far, the remaining resources of the Star Domain are as follows: Lord Hall, Lord, Suyu level 6 Sky Alliance, Cloud Territory, Red Rose Territory, Clearwater Territory, Galaxy Territory, Dryad Territory, Sub-Territory, Warhammer Tri-Building. 25 Arms, Giant Dragon, Tier 4, Centaur, Tier 4, Blade Spider, Tier 4, Goblin, Tier 1, Red Armored Fire Ant, Tier 4, Giant Slinger, Tier 7, Undead Knight, 7th rank, Dragon Hunter, 8th rank, Mountain Shaker, 9th rank 9, Storm Spirit, 10th rank, Population 78 Timber, 11 billion stone mine, 11 billion iron ore, 11 billion gold coins, 62 billion food, 410,000 currency, 980,000 upgrade needs. Wood, stone ore, iron ore, and gold coins are 5 million each. Wood, stone ore, and iron ore are all three resources in reserve. More than 10 billion, only gold coins. Only 6 billion remain. Now is also the time to spend the 6 billion. Suyu first went to the dragon's nest. In his opinion, Even though the giant dragon and the spirit of the storm are both rank 10 units, but it is necessary to compare the level of these two arms. It should still be slightly better than the dragon after all. The attributes of this unit are very comprehensive. It can carry, fight and fly, and there are many types. Not as rigid as the spirit of the storm, it's the best choice for thugs. It costs 6 billion gold coins to train 300 dragons successfully. As the notification sounded, Suyi's gold coin reserve instantly returned to zero. A total of 6 billion gold coins were all invested in the giant dragon. Trained a full 3,000 giant dragons add up to the original 2,000. Exactly 5,000. The training peak of the 6th level dragon nest. A dragon army of 5,000 levels makes me excited just thinking about it. Of course, the daily consumption of food and various resources is also an astronomical figure. Attachment. This work comes from the internet in published books. The work is only for readers to preview. Please delete it within 24 hours of downloading. It cannot be used for commercial purposes. If you think this book is good, please buy the genuine book. Thank you for your support to the author. Key points. I hope you can keep this paragraph if you reprint it. It's a bit hard to organize. But retention is a virtue. This is the tragedy of being a top lord. Need to worry about various resources all the time. Once backed up before liberation, Suyi sighed, turned and left the dragon's nest. In the next few days, Suyi was busy running various places to collect resources while waiting for the good news from the Golden Tree Demon King. Unfortunately, there was no news from the Golden Tree Demon King. On the contrary, something happened on Banner's side. This is the 12th day of Suyi's violent dragon. He is arranging to divide the trained dragons into several teams, and spread them out to clear the monsters around the star field. That's what's called leveling. But when he was busy, there was a loud and clear dragon chant from the sky above the starfield territory. Suyi didn't take it seriously at first, thinking it was another naughty kid from the dragon who flew to the sky to play. But is that true? Of course not, because the one riding this giant dragon is Evi. Saw her descending from the sky in a hurry. He quickly ran behind Suyi. Something happened to Banners. Chapter 363. Jonah. As soon as the words fell, Suyi's face changed drastically, and he quickly turned to look at Eve. What happened? Eve's face was a little ugly, and he hesitated for a while before saying, "It's the Machine Kingdom. They have come to the door again, and they are currently confronting Banners. Depend on." Suyi cursed secretly ever since he killed CERN, one of the 6 leaders of the Mechanical Kingdom. He knew that there must be a big battle between himself and the Mechanical Kingdom. Now it seems that a battle is coming. I'm afraid they already know about killing Fen. Secondly, Banners relies on himself to survive, and I am afraid that it will also arouse the hatred of the Machine Kingdom. After weighing in his heart for a moment, Suyi made a decisive decision. Assemble the army. We will go there. If people from the Mechanical Kingdom came to the door this time, maybe a month ago, Suyi would still be afraid of 3.3, but the time is now. So sorry. Suyi chose to work hard to the end in spite of. How does your Mechanical Kingdom plan to deal with this matter? Suyi said. He will not back down. Eve didn't speak, but obeyed Suyi's order. Begins to summon nearby dragons, storm spirits, and mountain shakers. Then, together with Suyi, they headed to the gold mine. The riot of 3,000 dragons has lasted for 12 days. Currently, Suyi can mobilize about 260 dragons in the star field. In addition, there are 2,000 storm spirits and 1,000 mountain shaking giant spirits. Gather all these arms and go straight to the gold mine. On the other side, in front of the defense line of the gold mine territory, a large army is parked here. There are quite a few, 5 or 6, as many as 10,000. It can be seen from the style that this army is almost the same as the one led by CERN. It is undoubtedly the army of the Machine Kingdom under the protection of hundreds of doomsday mechas. Banners stood on the wall of a nearby territory. Confront one of the leaders of the Machine Kingdom's army in front of the city wall. That was a cyborg similar to Banners. The only difference is that this guy looks a lot stronger than Banners. A bad old man. The half that belongs to the human body is naked and knotted, full of strength. His name is Jonah, and he has a lot of background. He is the 4th leader of the Machine Kingdom since the death of Soren was sent back to the Mechanical Kingdom last time. The great leader John Chris has been ordering people to investigate that matter. Just 10 days ago, the Machine Kingdom had confirmed the place where Then was killed in action through on-site exploration. They discovered some incredible information. It was Banners, and a human lord, who killed Then. After that, under the order of John Chris, Jonah started tracking Banners and the human lord. Finally, today, I found Banners here. When he saw the hundreds of doomsday mechas guarding Banners, Jonah's only remaining naked eye twitched a few times. Some wondered. I didn't expect you to actually make the things in this blueprint. Banners, who was standing on the city wall, sneered when he heard the words. I said earlier, in the Mechanical Kingdom, only I can create the things in the blueprint. Hearing this, Jonah snorted coldly, "But you betrayed the mechanical kingdom and even mixed up with a human lord. This is the shame of our mechanical kingdom." Banners continued to sneer, "Shame, haha, shame. Since the day John Chris took over the Machine Kingdom, I am no longer a member of the Machine Kingdom, so what's the shame?" Jonah is speechless. He is the only old leader among the 6 leaders of the Mechanical Kingdom who has not been transformed into a robot except for Banners. He knew very well what happened when John Chris took over the Mechanical Kingdom. Sometimes, he even wondered what choice he would make if he was standing in Banner's position. Is still being bullied by John Cleese, still seizing the opportunity and thinking about escaping from the Mechanical Kingdom. For a moment, Jonah shook his head, getting these thoughts out of his mind. And then looked at Banners. "Listen, Banners, I'm not here to listen to your memories of the past. You stole an important blueprint of the Machine Kingdom, and it's still there. More than 2 months ago, killed one of the 6 leaders of the Machine Kingdom, CERN and his army. This is a capital offense in the Machine Kingdom. You come back with me. For the sake of your creation of the Doomsday Mech, leader John Chris should still use you again." Banners was furious when he heard the words, pointed at Jonah and cursed, "You don't mention that bastard to me, I won't go back with you. And finally, let me reiterate that the blueprint of the Doomsday Machine armor is originally my teacher left it to me, not the public property of the Mechanical Kingdom. Please figure it out." Jonah was silent. He knows what Banners said now, but what can he do? He is just a soldier. Before setting off, John Cleese gave a death order: be sure to bring Banners and the drawings back, otherwise he will die. Choosing between his own death and the death of others, he naturally chooses the death of others. "Banners, this is beyond your control. I have already sent the coordinates here to John Chris. Now, you only have 2 choices: either immediately go back with me, or wait for the army of the Machine Kingdom to wipe out this place." Jonah said. Chapter 242. When Banners heard this, he was completely angry. The gray and macy beard stood upright, glaring at Jonah. "Jonah, we are old friends. Do you really want to let things go this far?" Jonah gritted his teeth, and said sadly, "But you betrayed the Mechanical Kingdom. You are a traitor." "I have no choice." Banners was furious, and greeted the 18th generation of Jonah's ancestors in his heart. After venting the resentment in his heart, Banners looked up to the sky. There is a large army flying towards this side. It was Suyu's giant dragon. The reinforcements have arrived, so Banners has nothing to worry about anyway. Things have calmed to this point, and there is nothing to undo. Let's play directly. Chapter 364, Plundering and Conquest. I like it. Second watch subscription. You want to take me back? Then let me see how many caddies you have. Banners said coldly. As soon as the voice fell, hundreds of doomsday mechas behind him took off one after another and flew down the city wall, rushed towards the direction of Jonah's army. Jonah didn't expect that Banners would make such a decisive move, and before he had time to hesitate, he quickly ordered to fight. Although he has not seen the blueprint of the doomsday mech with his own eyes, he has heard it mentioned by some insiders in the Machine Kingdom. The things in the drawing are very strong. As long as it can be created, it can definitely become the most powerful force in the Mechanical Kingdom. However, this blueprint was taken away by Banners, and here, the Doomsday Machine armor in the drawing was created. Enough to imagine the threat involved. Soon, the two sides met and fought hand to hand. Most of the arms Jonah brought this time are Tier 6 and Tier 7 mechanical arms. There are some 8th order ones, but not many as for the 9th order. Currently in the Machine Kingdom, apart from the personal guards of the great leader John Chris, there is not a single unit that has reached this level. In other words, the army Jonah brought this time is actually not strong. Banners has a Doomsday Machine armor, so he may not be incapable of fighting. Fierce battle broke out in an instant. There are 2 ways to fight between mechanical arms in melee combat: raise your wash basin-sized steel fist and bombard your opponent. Firepower fight: take out all kinds of guns you carry with you, and shoot at the enemy in an instant. The battlefield in front of the gold mine became chaos. Banners stood at the end, witnessing the war happening in front of him, with a crazy light flashing in his eyes. The Doomsday Mech is his hope, but also his confidence. Fortunately, the Doom Mechas did not disappoint Banners. After entering the battlefield, become incomparably brave, Jonah's army was defeated step by step by the crushing of arms and ranks. This scene fell in Jonah's eyes, making it a bit unpleasant because Banners' strength exceeded his expectations. If he can't defeat Banners, then he can't bring Banners back. There was no way to bring Banners back, and before he could figure out the reason for the task that John Chris entrusted to him, the 3 Doomsday Mechas had already rushed towards him. Under the instruction of Banners, an iron fist the size of a wash basin struck. Jonah's face changed slightly, and he was ready to forcibly resist the incoming 3. Headed Doomsday Mecha, but he still underestimated the power of Doom. After all, bang, 3 fist shadows wrapped in destructive power so fast, so powerful to compress the air into bursts of explosions. The next moment, Jonah was hit by a fist shadow. The huge force struck, and Jonah didn't even resist for a moment, and his body flew upside down. It fell into the ground and pulled the ground out of a long ravine. So strong, Jonah clicked his tongue, but before he could make another move, the 3 Doomsday Mechas had already rushed forward and surrounded Jonah. Jonah backed away in fright, but how could his speed compare to the Doomsday Mech with propellers? He was caught up in minutes, and then he got another meal, fat beating at the same time. The reinforcements brought by Suya from the Star Domain had also joined the battlefield. Without further ado, just start the fight. Let the mechanical army that was originally evenly divided with the Doomsday Mechas instantly fall into disadvantage. The dragons strike from the sky. Watch Dragon's Breath, ice crystals, lightning, and holy light are scattered as if they don't need money on the ground. The storm spirits followed the dragon to join the battle. This is the first time they have participated in a large-scale team fight. Summoned a series of wind blades, and flew towards the mechanical army at the same time. Open the field of riding wind. Increase the action speed for the mountain shaker behind. Some cumbersome mountain shakers immediately increased their speed after entering the wind riding domain of the storm spirit. In minutes, he ran from the back of the battlefield to the front of the battlefield. There are 1,000 heads lined up in a row, summoning mountains one after another suspended above the head as a weapon in battle. The army rushed forward, and Jonah's mechanical army was completely at a disadvantage, and Suya, with Eve, landed beside Banners. What happened? Suya asked. Banners shrugged, pointed to the battlefield ahead and said, as you can see, I was discovered again. Then what are you going to do this time? Suya asked again. Banners is more aware of the situation in the mechanical kingdom than his what to do. It is up to Banners to decide. Banners was silent for a few seconds, and then he said, same as last time, let's kill them all. When this battle is over, I hope you can help do me a favor. With that said, Banners looked at Suya. The look in his eyes was surprisingly sincere. Although he, Banners, is not upright on weekdays, he is old and outmoded, but now, he seems to have made a certain decision, and his attitude has become extremely serious. You say? Suya said. Banners clenched his fists. When this battle is over, I want me to go to the mechanical kingdom with me. Suya frowned upon hearing this. Without waiting for him to speak, Banners continued, the location here has been exposed. I believe that the machine kingdom will send a large army to clear this place in the near future. Instead of waiting for them to attack, it is better for us to take the initiative to attack the machine kingdom. Come down. Hearing this, Suya understood what Banners meant. I didn't think about it at the moment, so I directly agreed. Yes, I promise you. How powerful the machine kingdom is, Suya doesn't know, but he believed that Banners would not cheat himself, since even he wants to take the initiative to attack. As a lord himself, there is no reason to back down. Naturally, he wants to stand up for Banners. Besides, Suya is confident that with his current strength, he will take a mechanical. It shouldn't be too difficult to conquer the kingdom. Thinking about the various good things that may be obtained after conquering the mechanical kingdom, Suya's blood boiled with excitement. Fighting and looting, he likes it. Chapter 365, Jonah who suicide. With Suya joining, the next battle can be said to be without any suspense. The quality of the mechanical kingdom's arms is not as good as that of Suya and Banners, although there are more of them, but the gap between quality sometimes cannot be made up by quantity alone. 1 hour after Suya led the giant dragon into the battlefield, the battle officially ended. The 70,000 troops brought by Jonah have been wiped out. The only one left is the leader, Jonah, of course. This is Bannister's order, otherwise, this guy may have turned into scrap iron by now. The combat power of the Doomsday Mech cannot be underestimated. At this moment, Jonah had already been beaten to pulp, and was escorted by 2 Doomsday Mechas in front of Suya and Banners. Banners was expressionless, glanced at Jonah in front of him, and said coldly, I spare your life. You go back and tell John Chris what he brought to me. I will return it soon. Let it wash away clean your neck and wait. Jonah's face changed slightly when he heard that. He gritted his teeth and looked at Banners. You are going to invade the mechanical kingdom? Banners snorted coldly. Invasion is not an invasion. I just want to remove an incompetent ruler for the mechanical kingdom, John Chris. He is not worthy to be called a great leader. This time, Jonah didn't answer. He knew what Banners meant. In fact, not to mention Banners, even he himself has some complaints about John Chris, but the only difference between him and Banners is that he is too loyal. Even though he knew that John Chris was not a good person, he still devoted himself to his position and worked for John Chris. Chapter 243. After a long time, Jonah raised his head. If you want, I will bring it for you. In addition, I want to remind you that John Chris is not that simple. You have to be careful." Banners nodded and waved his hand, signaling the two doomsday matches to let Jonah go. The latter was not polite, got up directly, and then sent a message to John Chris using their unique communication system of the Mechanical Kingdom. The message clearly mentioned Banner's plan and the failure of this operation. After doing this, Jonah shut down the communication system. Then a strange move was made. It could only be seen that it opened a certain baffle in front of its chest, and pressed a certain switch inside. The next moment, his body made a weird creaking sound. A strong heat wave emanated from his body. Even Suyi, who was standing a few meters away, could clearly feel it. Just when Suyi felt something was wrong and wanted to lead people to retreat, Banner spoke up. The words were full of regret and bewilderment. "What's wrong with you?" Jonah smiled. The semi-mechanical face moved, looking extremely ugly. "You don't know John's temper. If I go back like this, I will die. Rather than being executed by him, it's better to kill myself." Banners let out a long sigh. "You still can't be like me. Leave the plane." "Is it a kingdom of machinery?" Jonah shook his head, wanting to say something, but it's too late. I could only see that his body, starting from the legs, softened and melted little by little. Clap. Jonah's upper body fell to the ground, the only remaining naked eye stared at Banners, and the expression in the eyes was extremely complicated. Perhaps he also wanted to be like Banners, but he couldn't do it. Suyi, Eve, and Banners watched with their own eyes as Jonah's body was melted into a puddle of molten iron. Banner's complexion was complicated. He let out a long breath and said, "He's a hero." Suyi and Eve looked at each other, but neither of them spoke the identities of Jonah and Banners. They don't know what happened with John Chris. They don't know either, but as a spectator, a bystander, they saw the helplessness of Banners and Jonah's determination. The battle ended. The three of them didn't stay any longer, and returned directly to the star field. In Suyi's words, it's time for them to plan what's next. At the same time, the central castle of the Mechanical Kingdom. John Chris has received a message from Jonah. After reading the content of the message verbatim, John Chris was furious. Then he slammed his fist on the table in front of him. Under the tremendous force, the desk made of steel was smashed into a big hole. "Assault Machine Kingdom Banners, this rebellious guy doesn't take me seriously. There is also the Doomsday Mecha, which was actually created, which is a bit beyond my expectations, but it doesn't matter. If you want to attack, just go ahead, my side. But there are still many good things waiting for you," John Chris said viciously. His voice was sharp and piercing, makes the scalp tingle. Not long after the words fell, a robot suddenly ran in from outside the hall. "Great leader, we suddenly received the news of the death of Leader Jonah." "What?" John Cleese stood up abruptly from his throne. The two electronic eyes on the iron skull flashed a dazzling red light. "Banners the bastard," John Chris scolded angrily. The robot below was trembling with fear, and boldly said, "Big leader, we analyzed the death information of Leader Jonah and found that he committed suicide." John Cleese suicide. Jonah committed suicide. After thinking about it, he understood the reason. He snorted coldly. This guy is a fool. After all, it stepped down from the throne, walked up to the little robot, and looked down at the ladder. "Now, pass on my order to bring back all the other leaders, and gather all the troops of the Mechanical Kingdom to prepare for the battle." The little robot didn't dare to ask more questions, nodded and left the hall. Chapter 366. Preparing to attack the Mechanical Kingdom Starfield. After the battle, Suyi, Eve, and Banners returned here. Now let's discuss the matter of attacking the Mechanical Kingdom. According to Banners, the Mechanical Kingdom is structured like this. There are 6 leaders. The great leader John Chris, this guy is the real ruler of the Mechanical Kingdom, and he is very powerful. He has about tens of thousands of 9th level and 9 types of troops. That's right, you heard me right, tens of thousands. After all, he is the leader of a race. If you say that the strength is not strong, you probably won't believe it. John Chris, the leader and supreme ruler of the Mechanical Kingdom, has nearly 10,000 or even more than 10,000 mechanical units of the 9th rank and 9th rank. Banners wasn't sure either. After all, he has been away from the Mechanical Kingdom for more than a year. God knows if John Chris took advantage of this time to strengthen his power. In addition to tens of thousands of 9th level and 9 level units, there are also many other types of units in John Chris. The 8th, 7th, and 6th ranks can add up to about 20,000 to 30,000. Aside from John Chris, the great leader of the Mechanical Kingdom, the Machine Kingdom has 5 other leaders. They are Haman, Jonah, Thurn, Banners and Mardinger. Among them, Jonah and Cern have been killed by Suyi and Banners successively. The position of their leader was vacant. However, Banners predicted that according to John Cleese's habit, he should dispatch someone he can trust to take over the positions of the 2 leaders at the first time. The 2 leaders, Haman and Mardinger, are very powerful and have not shown up yet. Just tell me how many troops the Machine Kingdom has now. Suya said straightforwardly. He felt that this was the most important thing anyway. He is fighting the entire Mechanical Kingdom, not a certain leader. Hearing this, Banners was silent for a while, and then said, a conservative estimate, the number of troops is no less than 150,000. Of which the 9th level and 9 types are between 10,000 and 20,000, and the 8th level units are the main force, with 7 or 8 in number, 1, and the rest are 7th and 6th tier units. Hearing this, Suya rubbed his chin. Fortunately, it was more or less the same as he expected. So, with his current strength, is it possible to conquer the Mechanical Kingdom? The answer is, it should be possible as long as the training of this wave of giant dragons is completed. Suya will have 5,000 giant dragons that can be mobilized, and there are more than half of them, and the level is not low. Looking back at the Mechanical Kingdom, although they have a large number of arms, there is another fatal drawback that is a matter of rank. Suya once asked Banners in private. According to Banners' explanation, their mechanical units are all pseudo-units like the Doomsday Mech. It has powerful strength, but it cannot be upgraded. This kind of pseudo-army has been maintained in the same state since it was manufactured, cannot be enhanced by killing enemies. The only way to enhance it is through transformation, or by fusing some special power stones. Therefore, the 150,000 Mechanical Kingdom units are actually not as scary as imagined. Even if they have more than 10,000 rank 9 and 9 arms, 150,000, if it's only 150,000, you can fight, Suya said. This is his confidence in his own strength. Banner seemed to have expected that Suya would say this, and immediately asked, then when shall we leave? Suya stood up from the throne and walked out of the hall. Before I leave, I need to make some preparations. Just wait for my news. With Suya's promise, Banners felt relieved and left the hall. Like Suya, he also needs to make some preparations before setting off. You can't rely on Suya for the whole war. He plans to increase the production speed of the production line, and produce more Doomsday Mechas before the war begins. After leaving the hall, Banners went straight to his laboratory. Afterwards, he closed the door tightly, closed it inside, and started working in full swing. Suya on the other side went to the Dragon's Nest. Training here is still going on. Even if he has a god level cooldown, it is not easy to train thousands of dragons. It takes a lot of time. As a basis, a glance at the training progress shows that there are still about 1,500 dragons that have not been trained. Well, there is no choice but to wait. Taking advantage of the waiting time, Suya rode blazing and went to the various secret realms and resource points that he occupied to collect resources before setting off again. Train another wave of Storm Spirit. In the previous battle, the Spirit of the Storm had already proved his strength to Suya really strong. It does a lot of damage, and what's more important is its riding the wind skill, which is extremely easy to use. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244. I believe it can play a very important role in the future war. For the next 10 days, Suya and Banners spent their time preparing. 10 days later, Suya took out the troop training scroll at the bottom of the box and used it to train the giant dragon. Forcibly summoned more than 100 giant dragons that have not yet been trained at this moment. The number of giant dragons gathered in the star domain exceeds 4,000. In addition to the 4,000 giant dragons, there are 3,000 storm spirits, 1,000 mountain shakers, and 2,000 units of dragon hunters. These are the main forces of Suya's star domain. It's almost time to calculate. Suya went straight to Banner's laboratory. It has been brightly lit here for 10 consecutive days. It can be seen that the old fellow Banners is also desperately trying to get rid of John Chris. Suya knocked on the door of the laboratory. Not long after, the door was open. Banners, covered in greasy stains, walked out of the laboratory. Can we go? Suya didn't talk nonsense and asked directly. Banners nodded solemnly. Anytime. Hearing this, Suya snapped his fingers. That's good. It's not too late. It's today. Banners didn't object. He walked out of the laboratory with a large number of the latest Doomsday Mechas. There are a lot of them. As many as 1,500. In addition, Banners also produced tens of thousands of explosive 2s and stored them in his secret space. Chapter 367. Can the quantity gap be made up with quality? Second, more for subscription. Then, Suya began to arrange all the affairs before the expedition. First of all, as always, Eve keeps the house. There is no way, there is no need to worry about the star domain. There are high walls, and a strict city defense system. plus the 24-hour non-stop patrol of the giant dragon. Unless it is a super large-scale monster invasion, it is impossible to break into the star domain, and Suyi asked Eve to stay and guard the house. In fact, what Suyi was more worried about was the gold mine. That is a good thing that can give Suyi 50 billion gold coins, and there must be no problem at all. Therefore, Suyi left Eve, more than 500 giant dragons, all the dragon hunters, and the undead knights on the gold mine defense line with these troops stationed. I believe the gold mine is still safe. Besides, there is Lin Yangxi not far from the gold mine. This little girl has quite the talent to be a lord. With Suyi sponsoring some resources in the early stage, her galaxy territory on the island in the middle of the lake has developed in a decent way. The only shortcoming is that the main force of the galaxy territory on the island in the center of the lake is of a low rank. There are only 7 levels. This is Lin Yangxi's shortcoming. It seems that after finishing the tasks in front of him, Suyi still has to find an opportunity to find a stronger unit for the little girl. Lin Yangxi. The Milky Way territory on Huxin Island is not too far away from the gold mine, even closer to the gold mine than the star domain territory. In addition, Lin Yangxi spared no effort before and cooperated with Vulcan to build the highway from the island in the middle of the lake to the land. As long as there is a problem with the gold mine, Lin Yangxi promises to provide immediate support. In addition, the Dryad territory, the Red Rose territory, and the Clearwater territory of Zhongzhou all have portals leading to the star domain in case of a problem with the gold mine. As long as these abilities get news, they can provide immediate support. It takes half a day at most, or a few hours at least, to arrive at a battlefield. This is Suyi's terrifying layout and ability. He had thought of all this from the very beginning. Give Eve the command of the left behind dragon. Suyi set off with banners. The troops for this expedition are as follows: 4,000 giant dragons, 3,000 storm spirits, 1,000 mountain-shaking giant spirits, and 1,500 doomsday mechas. The quantity is not much, but the quality is very high. The minimum has 9 ranks of 9, and among the 4,000 giant dragons, there are more than 1,500 giant dragons, and the level has reached the full level. The combat capability of a full-level giant dragon is almost equivalent to that of several first-level giant dragons. It is conceivable how strong these 4,000 giant dragons can explode. Riding the giant dragon, the two left the star field and ran towards the east. Banners leads the way, followed by other dragons, as well as Storm Spirit, Mountain Shaker and other units. The army from the star field is moving forward. According to what Banners said before, it takes about 3 days to travel from the star field to the portal into the mechanical kingdom. Therefore, before setting off, Suyi made a special trip to the Tree Demon's territory and brought enough food guaranteed to survive until the end of the War Machine Kingdom. Central citadel of the fort. John Cleese stands here with his hands behind his back. Electronic eyes like cars scan the open space below the castle. There, an army of more than 100,000 has been assembled. It can be said to be huge. Still no news? John Chris suddenly asked. Behind him, a robot similar to it stepped out. Its name is Heyman, and it is one of the 6 leaders of the mechanical kingdom. At the same time, he is also a hardcore supporter of John Cleese. Report to the leader. We have not received any news. John Chris sneered when he heard the words, HMPH, a coward. That's just the power of words. How long will it take for Martinger's army to come back? 3 days, Heyman replied. John Chris pondered to calculate the time, and after a while, he ordered in a cold voice, okay, let our army gather in one place in 3 days, and we will personally trouble Banners. I would like to see this old guy after leaving the mechanical kingdom. How did you get along? Heyman nodded. No longer speaking. 3 days passed quickly. The martingale from John Cleese's mouth is finally back. Tens of thousands of troops entered the main city of the mechanical kingdom, and joined the 100,000 troops that had already assembled. Again, Martinger, on the other hand, went to see John Chris immediately. Like Haman, it is also a die-hard supporter of John Cleese. Report to the leader. I have returned to the army with 456 units, Martingale reported. John Chris nodded in satisfaction. Very good. Now that our army is assembled, it's time to go find Banners. As soon as he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Martinger. Great leader, there's no need to be like this. Banners and the others have already arrived. John Chris is a little confused. What do you mean by that? Banners has come. What's going on? Where's he? John Chris hurriedly asked. 30 kilometers away from the entrance. When I came back, I happened to detect its existence, and it is currently heading towards the entrance. Coming. Hearing this, John Chris stood up abruptly from the throne. Well, it's good to come. It's easy to save us from taking the initiative to attack. Quickly gather the army, and we are ready to fight. With that said, John Chris stepped towards the outside of the hall. After walking a certain distance, He suddenly remembered something, and looked back at Mardinger. By the way, how many troops do they have? Mardinger said without hesitation. About 10,000. John Chris laughed wildly after hearing this. 10,000? Ha ha ha, is Banners' mind trapped by the door? Using 10,000 troops to challenge my mechanical kingdom's 150,000 troops is simply courting death? Martin's face changed slightly. He swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and reminded, I took a general look. The 10,000 units that Banners brought are of high quality, and many of them have 10th tier units. John Chris didn't take it seriously, and snorted coldly, so what if the quality is high? We have an army of 150,000. Can we make up for the gap in quantity with quality? Chapter 368 John Chris, you are old, you are not my match. Outside the entrance to the secret realm of the mechanical kingdom, Suyi and Banners have arrived with an army. Enter there, you will enter the mechanical kingdom. Banners stood on a hill, pointing somewhere. Suyi looked in the direction that Banners pointed. Sure enough, there is a huge portal in that mountain depression that is the entrance to the mechanical kingdom. Seeing this scene, Suyi did not immediately. Instead of ordering to march, I ordered the troops to rest. This is his usual style before the battle comes. Let the soldiers have a good rest and have a full meal. By the way, regarding this, Banners didn't say anything. Just sat quietly on the side, wondering what to think. Suyi gathered the giant dragon, the spirit of the storm, and the mountain-shaking giant together. Enough food was taken out from the Lord's space to fill these guys' stomachs. The dragons are eating happily, and their physical strength is recovering rapidly. About 2 hours later, Suyi got up again, looked at the legion that had recovered its strength and was in peak condition, and gave the order to advance again. Chapter 245. And Banners also woke up from his contemplation. The only remaining naked eye flashed a decisive light. Are you ready? Suyi asked. Banners didn't speak, just nodded heavily. The two reached an agreement, and the march began. First, the giant dragon with rough skin and thick flesh acts as the vanguard and enters the portal. Then came Suyi, Banners, and the other troops behind them filed in the direction of the portal as if passing through a water curtain. When Suyi and Banners reappeared, they had already entered another world, that is, the mechanical kingdom. What appeared in front of Suyi at this moment was a huge city. The tallest building exceeds 100 meters. The nearly 30-meter-high city wall seems to be made of poured steel, and it looks extremely thick on the city wall. Densely packed troops lined up neatly, looking directly at the direction of Suyi and Banners. It seems that they are already ready, Suyi said in a low voice. Banners clenched his fists. It's also within our expectations, isn't it? Suyi pouted, but said nothing. He just quietly waited for all his species to come in from the portal. Not long after, all the troops brought by Suyi and Banners standing behind the two of them. Their momentum was nothing compared to the army of the mechanical kingdom on the city wall at this moment. The mechanical kingdom is at the head of the city. John Chris, who received the news, has come out of the castle standing on the top of the city. It looked in the direction of Suyi and Banners. It couldn't help laughing when it saw that there were only 10,000 troops behind the two of them. Hearing Mardinger's report before, it still doesn't believe it, but now, it believes that Banners actually only brought back 10,000 troops. Is this because his brain was trapped by the door? You say, Banners is committing suicide? John Chris laughed, turning around to look at the people behind him. Haimeng is the #1 licking dog of John Chris. Hearing this, he quickly echoed, it is estimated that this old guy has forgotten the strength of our mechanical kingdom after he left us. Threatening, how many high-ranking officials of the mechanical kingdom started laughing. Only Martingale, its face is still serious. It never believed that Banners would be so stupid. No matter what, this guy is also one of the 6 leaders of the mechanical kingdom, and he is very clear about the current strength of the mechanical kingdom. If the arms he brought had no chance of winning, then why did he do this? Is he really looking for death? Impossible, absolutely impossible. John Chris didn't think in this direction, only saw 2 mechanical wings behind it suddenly spread out. Immediately after waving it, it pushed its body into the air, and flew in the direction of Suyi and Banners. Banners, if you are sensible, give me the blueprint and accept my transformation. I can let you go. Before John Chris arrived, the voice had already passed. It fell into the ears of Banners, and Suyi. Banners snorted coldly, raised his head and looked at John Chris. You think beautiful. Don't you know why I came back this time? As soon as the words came out, John Chris laughed. Why don't you just want to push me off the stage? But can you do it? You have less than 10,000 troops behind you. Don't be kidding. Banners, you are old, you are not my opponent. Banners gritted his teeth angrily, and his fists were creaking. Is it true that the opponent has to try to know? After finishing speaking, Banners waved his hand. 20 out of the 1,500 doomsday mechas standing behind him rushed towards John Chris under the propulsion of the thrusters. The speed is almost to the extreme. Seeing this, John Chris's electronic eyes flickered a few times, and then he assumed a fighting stance. Collided with the 20 attacking doomsday mechas in the first collision. John Cleese seemed to be a little bit behind. It was knocked back several tens of meters. The 20 doomsday mechas moved in unison and launched a fierce attack on John Chris. The latter frantically dodged, but despite the large number of people on the opposite side, he was injured many times. This made John Chris very embarrassed, and he immediately pulled back while flying towards the mechanical kingdom. He turned his head and roared at Banners. "Banners, are you really going to fight against me?" Banner's tone was flat. "I just don't want to see the mechanical kingdom destroyed in your hands." As soon as the words fell, more than 1,000 doomsday guards behind Banner all attacked. It turned into more than 1,000 figures and flew towards the castle. Seeing this, John Chris naturally wouldn't just look at it. Immediately order, "Let the army of the mechanical kingdom on the castle prepare for the battle." The next moment, the sound of dense artillery fire rang out. The troops deployed on the city of the mechanical kingdom launched an artillery cover attack at the same time used to resist the approach of the doomsday armor. Chapter 369. The fighting power of the storm spirit. The battle is imminent. Su Yi followed closely and gave the order to attack behind him. 4,000 giant dragons flew up almost at the same time, turned into 444 teams, and flew towards the castle of the mechanical kingdom from 4 directions. The mountain-shaking giants also summoned the mountain and carried it behind their backs. As for the spirits of the storm, they opened the wind-riding domain and followed behind the mountain shaker with the speed blessing of Changfang domain. The speed of mountain shaker giant spirit soared to more than 500 in an instant, almost no different from that of a giant dragon carrying a big mountain. He rushed towards the castle of the mechanical kingdom on the top of the city. Densely packed artillery, as if they don't want money, are madly attacking the giant spirit that shakes the mountain. The sound of booming explosions was endless, but looking at the mountain shaking giant spirit, it's nothing. Why is this? Naturally, it is the mountain summoned by the mountain shaker. With this mountain in front, it can withstand large-scale artillery fire. Even if the enemy's artillery fire is very intensive, they still cannot break through the defense line of the mountain shaker. The storm spirit with a weaker body took this opportunity to hide behind the mountain shaker. Let these guys carry the gunfire forward. In this way, the spirit of the storm and the mountain shaker cooperated and quickly approached the city wall. The giant dragon was even more straightforward, flying over the castle in a short time. Without a word, he began to launch a fierce attack. Dragon breath, ice crystals, lightning, holy light, crazily sprinkled in just an instant. There was quite a bit of chaos on the city of the mechanical kingdom. John Cleese has returned to the ramparts. The vigor of the giant dragon behind him, as well as the spirit of the storm and the mountain shaker, somewhat exceeded its expectations. In addition to being surprised, it can't just look at it. Immediately issue the order to attack. Amen. Mardinger and other leaders beside it quickly brought their own army and started to fight. All kinds of artillery, plasma cannons, quickly attacked the camp of the dragon, but the dragons are super fast, so how can they be hit so easily? Therefore, most of the artillery and plasma cannons flying towards the dragons were avoided by the dragons. Only a few fell on their bodies, but they were also blocked by the hard steel-like scales. The HP has dropped a little. It's harmless. It only needs a treatment from the holy dragon, and it can be fully recovered. It has to be said that the power of the dragon can sometimes make the enemy desperate. It can fly and run, has high attack and high defense, and it can also be healed. There is simply no weakness, of course, as long as your firepower is strong enough to pose no small threat to the dragon. But the problem is, the firepower of the mechanical kingdom. How could it be possible to suddenly know that there are a total of 4,000 of them gathered at their heads? Now even the machine kingdom has an army of 150,000, but among the 150,000 troops, only about 100,000 can carry out long-range attacks. Then there are only about 70,000 of the 100,000 troops who can effectively attack the dragon. In the end, among the 70,000 long-range attack units, there are very few of them that can fall on the giant dragon with all kinds of artillery fire. Therefore, the so-called method of concentrating fire to instantly kill a giant dragon cannot be implemented in reality because it's impossible. It simply can't be done except for the dragon. The cooperation between Storm Spirit and Mountain Shaker is also seamless under the bombardment of the dense artillery fire on the top of the city. They have arrived under the castle of the Mechanical Kingdom before they knew it. Storm Spirit begins to attack. A series of wind blades were conceived and thrown into the battlefield at the same time. They are still. A lot of eyes of the storm have been placed on the top of the city. When the Eye of the Storm was first installed, it was only the size of a fist, Similar to a whirlpool in the chaotic battlefield, it cannot be found at all then. As time goes by, the eye of the storm begins to gather energy, absorbing all the energy that can be absorbed around it, filling itself. The vortex in the eye of the storm began to grow gradually, and the energy contained in it became more and more dense. The energy produced gradually became violent. Finally, some units of the mechanical kingdom sensed that something was wrong. Chapter 246. But by this time, it was too late. Eye of the storm has reached the limit of detonation. Following the order of the spirit of the storm, the eyes of the storm, which had already absorbed enough energy, were instantly detonated. Boom. 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 I have to say that the explosive power of the eye of the storm is quite impressive, accompanied by bursts of rumbling explosions. The energy sealed in the eye of the storm burst out in an instant. It's like air that has been compressed to the extreme and suddenly explodes. The power it produces cannot be underestimated. For each eye of the storm, the explosion range is about 30 meters in radius. At the moment of detonation, flowers bloomed on the top of the city. Tens of thousands of mechanical kingdom troops were blown away by the airwaves and fell from the city wall. The spirits of the storm seized the opportunity and threw out wind blades one after another in the air. Tear these armored mechanical kingdom defenders into scrap iron. Clap. Clap to the ground. This scene fell in the eyes of John Chris, making his electronic eyes flicker non-stop. Fuck, what's going on? What just exploded? Who can tell me? The two leaders, Haiming and Martin, are beside it, also looked bewildered. What is it? Where do they know where to go? Wait, the three guys have the next move. Behind them, there is also the sound of the eye of the storm exploding. A series of powerful airwaves blasted them away. Even John Cleese almost fell off the wall. This sudden change made him completely furious. Beating the mechanical wings, it soared into the sky. Raise your hands above your head. Damn it, you've provoked me. Come out, my guards. After the voice fell, countless open passages suddenly appeared in the huge castle behind. In the next moment, one after another, like John Chris, robots equipped with mechanical wings flew out of those passages. Chapter 370. The crazy John Chris Banners, who was commanding the Doomsday Machine armor to fight, heard the movement and looked in the direction of the mechanical kingdom castle. When he saw a large number of robots with wings appearing, his face changed slightly. He recognized these robots as John Cleese's guard corps. A robot named Teodi. The rank is the 9th, rank 9, with the ability to fly, and the number is probably between 10,000 and 20,000. It's John Cleese's trump card. I didn't want to expose my full strength. You should feel honored. John Chris, suspended in midair, said coldly. Behind it, more than 10,000 gluttonous robots densely occupy half of the sky, just waiting for an order from John Chris, and then immediately launched a fierce attack on the army of Suya and Banners. But before it even gave the order, Suya had already ordered the dragon to attack in advance. 2,000 giant dragons were separated and flew towards this side quickly. Not long after, he came into close combat with a TOD robot. In an instant, a fierce battle broke out. These gluttonous robots, which John Chris is proud of, are no match for the dragons at all. One by one was swallowed by the flames, torn by sharp claws, turned into scrap iron, and fell from the sky. Seeing this, John Chris was furious and quickly ordered a counterattack. But how could it think of it? What is the disadvantage of the gluttonous army against the dragon? How can the counterattack not be the opponent of the dragon, or the opponent of the dragon? It is still up to you to toss about. It will only be this result, just like now. The giant dragons rushed in and out of the camp of these gluttonous robots, causing a large number of combat units to die in minutes, densely packed like raindrops, falling from the sky. Seeing this scene, Banners let go of the suspense in his heart. I was a little worried before. What new tricks John Cleese would play. From the looks of it now, all the new tricks are mere bells and whistles, not even a fart in the face of absolute strength. Just like now, Suyi's giant dragon army has demonstrated their terrifying combat effectiveness. John Cleese's whole cards are being crazily slaughtered. The latter was about to explode with anger, but there was nothing he could do. I had to take the TOD robot back for a certain distance, and then started to engage in some tactics. But the result is still not ideal, because Su-Yi would never give John Chris this time. Su-Yeshin knew the truth of dying from talking too much, so he goes to war with the enemy. As long as there is, they will firmly seize this opportunity and never give the enemy any chance to turn defeat into victory, just like it is now under the leadership of Su-Yi. 2,000 giant dragons flew towards the gluttonous robot non-stop. A new round of killing began. John Chris had no choice but to order his ace troops to disperse. Unfortunately, those gluttonous robots are not as fast as the giant dragon. Even if they disperse, they will be easily chased and killed. It can be said that when John Chris summoned them, They had already fallen into disadvantage. The battle in the direction of the city wall has also reached a fever pitch. An army of more than 100,000 was led by the nose by Suyi's army of thousands. The synergy between Storm Spirit and Mountain Shaker is perfect. The former is dedicated to output and is omnipotent. The latter is designed to provide defense for the spirits of the storm, to prevent the army on the top of the city from causing damage to the spirits of the storm. In this way, the storm spirits can hide behind the mountain shakers and output safely with the output similar to that of a fort mage. More than 100,000 mechanical troops suffered heavy casualties almost every second. Hundreds, even thousands of mechanical armies died. It was blasted into scrap iron and fell to the ground. And finally, Banners. This guy is also very brave. He was fighting against John Chris licking dog. Hey man, that guy yelled angrily when he saw that John Chris was defeated in the battle against the dragon. Whatever you say. You must kill Banners. But is Banners easy to mess with? Of course not. The old guy was a madman when he fought, commanding more than 1,000 doomsday mechas. They crazily charged Haemang's army at the same time. He took out tens of thousands of explosion number 2 that he had prepared, throwing out non-stop. These little guys can be controlled by Banners at this moment. Under the command of Banners, they rushed towards Haemang's camp. Then it detonated near Haemang's army. Most of Haemang's army was wiped out like this. The most terrible thing is that he is not a short distance away from Banners, and he can't get close at all. One after the other, Banners suffered only a handful of casualties. On the other hand, Haemang suffered heavy casualties 3 hours after the repeated bombing by Suyi and Banners. The war has come to an end. Haemang, Martinger and several leaders of the Mechanical Kingdom designated by John Chris were killed. Only 2 of the 6 leaders remain. One is Banners and the other is John Cleese. Look at the hundreds of thousands of troops in the Machine Kingdom, also almost dead. There are only a few left, and most of them are missing arms and legs, and they have no strength to fight anymore. The mecha shell on John Chris also suffered a lot of damage in some places. There are even big holes exposed, and sparks are bursting out. It glared at Banners, looking hysterical. Damn bastard, you only relied on that human lord to win. There's nothing to praise. Banners looked calm, and glanced at John Chris, but I am the winner. And the final interpretation is in my hands. You Jahunkers was so angry that several indicator lights on his chest exploded directly. Banners sneered. I also learned this from you. Back then, didn't you rely on such means to become a great leader? When John Chris heard this, he suddenly burst out laughing. It looked at Banners, and said ferociously, you think you have won the victory? I tell you, no, I am dead, and I will let the entire Mechanical Kingdom be buried with me. Chapter 371 The Treasure of the Mechanical Kingdom. As he said that, John Chris's body began to tremble. A strange energy emanated from its body. When Banners saw this scene, his face changed drastically. You want to blow yourself up? Chapter 247 John Chris smirked. You guessed it right, I can't live, so let the entire Mechanical Kingdom be buried with me. Ho 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 ho. Banners gritted his teeth angrily, and rushed towards John Chris. The speed at which the battle just resumed in the rear obviously also discovered the situation here. Without saying a word, he rode over on Blazing. I won't let you succeed, Banners yelled, and the sitting dragon accelerated violently. John Chris, however, looked determined and smiled contemptuously. It's too late, come with me to the embrace of death. Saying that, the guy turned around and flew towards the castle of the Mechanical Kingdom. Obviously, it wants to blow up the entire Mechanical Kingdom castle. How could Banners watch this happen? So, no matter what, he's going to stop John Cleese. Otherwise, with the strength of John Chris, once the self-destruct is successful, it may not be possible to destroy the entire Mechanical Kingdom, but it is still easy to destroy half of it like Banners. Suya also sensed that something was wrong in the current situation. Without further ado, immediately approached Banners and asked, what does it do? Explode yourself, and take us to be buried with you, Banners said in a deep voice while flying forward. Suya frowned. Then is there a way to stop all of this? Banners was silent for a moment, then nodded. Yes, kill it before it explodes. The sooner the better. Hearing this, Suya reacted, patted the fiery head under the seat. It's up to you. Zhili uttered a loud and clear dragon chant, already understood what Suyi meant, and his speed increased sharply. It turned into an afterimage and flew out. Tens of seconds later, Suya successfully rode Blazing and approached John Chris. This guy has completely changed at this moment. The original streamlined body of the mecha has now begun to swell. It's like a battery thrown into a frying pan. Cracks bloomed in the epidermis, and terrifying violent energy surged through the cracks. It looks like it's about to run amok at any time. Kill it, Suya ordered. Zhili tapped the huge faucet and stepped forward. The dragon claws that were as sharp as a blade had already swung past. John Chris couldn't dodge, and was hit by the dragon's claw in the arm with a click. The guy's arm was cut at the root. Sparks burst from the fracture. The severed arm fell to the ground below and then exploded. Blast the ground into a big pit and splash. It seems that the thing that John Chris wants to blow himself up should be true. Continue to attack, Suyi ordered. Fiery speeding up. The two dragon claws danced wildly, swishing across John Chris's body. Quickly disintegrate. The guy's already inflated body in mid-air was cut into several pieces, and then fell to the city wall below. Inside the city then it started to explode, leaving a mess all over the place. Fortunately, this guy didn't explode all at once. If it splits and explodes, its power is much smaller in the rear. Banners has followed up. Seeing that the crisis was lifted, his suspended heart was relieved. The crisis is over, here is safe, Banners said, overlooking the giant city below from the air, with complicated expressions in his eyes. This was his former home, but now it has been transformed into a mess by John Chris. Suyi rode blazing, circled in the air, and finally landed on the city wall below. Banners followed. The two jumped off the back of the dragon. The battle is over, now take me to see the harvest. Suyi said this is his real purpose, otherwise he wouldn't be interested in following Banners to attack the mechanical kingdom. Banners also guessed that Suyi would say that, nodded immediately, and led Suyi towards the giant city. Walking through the streets covered with corpses of various colors, the two came to the castle in the center of the giant city of the mechanical kingdom. Everything here is extremely prosperous and dazzling. Entering the castle, there are many mechanical models on the open space on both sides of the hall. Lifelike, all of them are extremely tall, looking very mighty and domineering. Sushi noticed Suyi's gaze, and Banners explained aloud, these models are all units that the mechanical kingdom used to have, and their ranks are all between the 9th, 10th, and 11th ranks, and they are very powerful. When Suyi heard this, his eyes lit up. He is very interested in the 10th and 11th rank units. What about now? Suyi asked. Banners sighed softly, and a wry smile appeared on his half-wrinkled old face. The manufacturing blueprints have been lost, and the only ones left were killed and injured in the last century war. Hearing this, Suyi was a little speechless. Well, be happy for nothing. I thought I could bring some good things back this time. Now it seems that it is impossible. The two continue to walk forward. After a while, they reach the end of the hall. Here stands a throne, very huge. Should have been built for John Cleese because only its size is suitable for sitting on this throne. Banner seemed to be familiar with this place. Fiddled a few times behind the throne. There was a crack in the wall behind the throne, and then the wall was cut to the two sides, revealing a door leading to the back. Come in, all the good things in the mechanical kingdom are here. Banners greeted. Suyi was not polite, and stepped forward to follow. Together with Banners, entered this hidden cruelty. Walking through a long aisle, what appeared in front of the two of them the next moment was a huge space, or a warehouse. Inside, there are piles of various ores, resources, even gold coins, and unit models. There are many. It is not an exaggeration to say that they are piled up like a mountain. Banners glanced at the scene in front of him, his eyes showing nostalgic light. All in all, he hasn't been here for over a year. Chapter 372. Purgatory Guards. Tier 10 soldier. The last time I came here was to steal blueprints. This time, it was a fair and honest visit. Take all the resources you can bring. Banners rode. After that, he walked around the warehouse alone. In this warehouse, what really interests him is not those resources, gold coins, but those mechanical models, or blueprints. These are all the foundations of the mechanical kingdom. Suyi ignored Banners, walked to the mountains of resources, and began to collect. In the Lord's space there is very little wood, only 200 million. There are not many stone mines, 500 million iron ore, this one is the most, and there are more than 5 billion units accumulated here. That's right, 5 billion. But think about it again. In the mechanical kingdom, things like iron are needed to build everything. Naturally, there are a lot of iron resources stored in this warehouse. Then there are gold coins. There are quite a few, about 2 billion or so. They were all taken by Suyi. After taking away these basic resources, Suyi started wandering around the warehouse. I saw a lot of weird energy gems, and took them away one after another. Banners on the other side has already reached the deepest part of the warehouse. Here, 3 things are placed. The first one is a fist-sized blue crystal, diamond-shaped, blue all over, emitting a dazzling light. The most amazing thing is that this thing can suspend in mid-air. Super engine, Banners murmured. He reached out and grabbed the blue crystal in his hand, looked at it carefully, and put it into his own space. Then, he looked at the second thing. It is a drawing. Chapter 248. It records the detailed manufacturing process of a certain robot. It seems that it is more complicated than the Doomsday Mech, and it is a lot more mysterious. The Purgatory Guards are originally here. It's a pity that John Chris only cares about expansion and conquest, but he doesn't have much real manufacturing technology. Otherwise, This blueprint would not be full of dust here. Banner's sighed. There was a hint of joy in the words purgatory guards. This is indeed a more powerful mechanical unit than the Doomsday Mech. The Order is 10th. It should be the most powerful blueprint preserved by the Mechanical Kingdom so far. It's a pity that John Chris, an idiot, couldn't make it, and this is also the reason why Jahunkers has always wanted to find Banners and bring him back alive, because Banners is the only one it can think of who can create a Purgatory Guard. Put away the blueprint of the Purgatory Guards, and see, looked at the third thing. It's a wrench that glows orange. That's right, a wrench. It looks ordinary, but in the eyes of Banners, it is more precious than the previous two things combined. Violence, violence. If it were me, I would definitely not let this thing lose its light. Banners murmured. Grab this wrench like a treasure. This wrench can be said to be an artifact of the Mechanical Kingdom with the magic of accelerated manufacturing effect. It's a pity that although John Chris is the great leader of the Mechanical Kingdom, he doesn't know much about real manufacturing, so this wrench, it doesn't need it now. It is acquired by Banners. That is even more powerful. Definitely a big help to him. Carefully put the wrench away. Then Banners joined Suyi. The two walked around the warehouse and took all the valuable things that could be taken away into the space. Finally, he left the warehouse and returned to the high platform outside the castle. From here, you can overlook most of the city at this moment. It has been nearly an hour since the end of the war in the city. Many people from the Mechanical Kingdom appeared like Banners. Most of them are half human and half mechanical. In addition, there are many pure robots. These should be transformed by John Chris later. The prestige of Banners is obviously not low in the hearts of these people. When those half-machine, half-human citizens of the Mechanical Kingdom saw Banners, they all saluted, with a sincere look on their faces. Suyi glanced at Banners' reaction. The latter's expression was very complicated. Sighing lightly, he patted the old guy on the shoulder. I'll give you an hour, and I'll wait for you outside the city. After all, Suyi rode blazing and withdrew from the city with a giant dragon, the Spirit of the Storm, and other troops. He found an open space outside the battlefield and settled down to wait for Banner's return. Inside the city, Banner saw Suyi leaving, and hurried out of the castle. Gathered together with the people of the Mechanical Kingdom. Leader Banners, thank you for killing John Cleese. This tyrant is really abominable. God bless. The tyrant John Cleese is finally dead. Leader Banners, you are the one who saved us. Please take over the position of great leader and rule the kingdom of machines. Banners felt a little helpless when he heard the chatter of everyone in front of him. Everyone, be quiet, be quiet. John Chris and his henchmen are dead. You are safe. Now, I am going to appoint a new leader among you to rule the Mechanical Kingdom. The people of the Mechanical Kingdom below heard the words and looked at each other in blank dismay. Why don't you act as a great leader yourself? One of the people asked. Banners was silent for a while, and looked up to the direction outside the city. There, a lord was waiting for him. Most of the credit for destroying John Chris belongs to Suyi. Leaving Suyi at this time, Banners still can't do it. Secondly, he doesn't want to be a great leader at all, ruling the Mechanical Kingdom. Otherwise, he would have been the great leader of the Machine Kingdom 100 years ago. It's just that at that time he refused to be the leader of the Mechanical Kingdom. That's why John Cleese took over. And then, what happened to John Cleese's tyranny? Speaking of which, Banners felt that he was quite sorry for the people of the Mechanical Kingdom, but it doesn't matter. John Chris is dead now, and the people of the Mechanical Kingdom have regained their freedom. Chapter 373 Subordinate Territory, Mechanical Kingdom. After an hour, Banners reappeared in front of Suyi. It's all done? Suyi asked. Banners nodded. It's done. I will come back regularly in the future to ensure the safety of this place. In addition, there is this. Please sign. With that said, Banners took out a contract and handed it to Suyi. The latter took it, glanced at it, and narrowed his eyes slightly. This turned out to be a subordinate territory treaty. Party A is Suyi from the Star Domain, and Party B is the Machine Kingdom. You want to establish a subordinate territory with me? Suyi asked back. Banners coughed lightly. It's not me, it's the entire Mechanical Kingdom. In the previous hour, Banners exchanged a lot of time with the people of the Mechanical Kingdom. They very much hope that Banners can take over the entire Mechanical Kingdom. It's a pity that Banners didn't have this idea, but now the defenders of the Mechanical Kingdom have basically been killed by him and Suyi. It is difficult to guarantee the safety of the Mechanical Kingdom. Finally, Banners thought of this way. Let the Mechanical Kingdom become a subordinate territory of the Star Domain. In this way, the Mechanical Kingdom can embrace the thigh of the Star Domain territory, and naturally there is no need to worry about safety issues. Rebuild some Doomsday Mechs, Purgatory Guards and other machinery, and send them back here. The Mechanical Kingdom can be developed again. This is the best ending Banners can think of so far. Suyi looked at Banners, but didn't immediately signature. This made the latter a little uneasy. What's wrong? Is there a problem? Banners asked. The corners of Suyi's lips curled slightly. You know, I'm a straightforward person. I want to know what the mechanical kingdom can provide me after it becomes my subordinate territory. This is what Suyi is most concerned about. He's not the virgin. There's no reason to accept an oil bottle for banners, and it's also a huge tow bottle. He only cares about benefits. And Suyi will only accept subordinate territories that can create benefits for him otherwise. I'm sorry. That banner's expression changed when he heard the words. He obviously didn't expect Suyi to ask this, but soon he came to his senses and said decisively, resources. The machine kingdom has its own mines that can be mined. Suyi didn't speak, but still looked at banners. The latter gritted his teeth, thought for a moment and continued, in addition to resources, I can also teach them how to make machines. With their assistance, I can build a mechanical army for you. After saying this, Suyi signed his name. If it can benefit the star domain, then it is feasible. As soon as Suyi's name was signed, the contract took effect, immediately turned into dots of light, dissipated in midair. From now on, Suyi's list of star domains has added a mechanical kingdom. Remember what you said, I will give you time. The corners of Suyi's lips curled slightly, and said lightly as he spoke, he rode on blazing and prepared to leave. As for banners, it is up to him to decide whether to go or stay. Banner stood still for a moment, gritted his teeth and shouted at Suyi's back, I will give you a satisfactory answer. After saying that, Banners turned around and walked towards the giant city behind him. He understood what Suyi meant, and he was determined to complete his task now. Let's start. Banners chose to stay. Suyi didn't say anything. Riding blazing, led his large army out of the portal of the mechanical kingdom, and then went straight to the star field. I hope that the next time I see Banners, he will give himself a surprise. 3 days later, Suyi successfully returned to the star field with a large army after setting up the storm spirit, mountain-shaking giant spirit and other units. Chapter 249. Suyi went straight to the gold mine. Here, he met Eve. The latter reported to him the situation of the gold mine during this time. Because of the particularity of the gold mine, sporadic harassment by monsters is indispensable. Monsters attack here almost every day. Fortunately, Suyi knew himself early on, and built a territorial defense belt around the gold mine. In addition, a lot of resources were given to develop those territories. Now, those territories have basically matured. It is enough to resist all kinds of monsters for the gold mine, even if you encounter difficult ones. There are Eve, Andre, the dragon hunter and the undead knight. After making sure that there was nothing wrong with the gold mine, Suyi harvested a batch of resources, and then returned to the star field. This attack on the mechanical kingdom, generally speaking, the harvest is not bad. The current resource reserves of the star domain are as follows: Lord Hall, Lord, Suyi level 6 Sky Alliance, Cloud Territory, Red Rose Territory, Clearwater Territory, Galaxy Territory, Subordinate Territory of Giant Territory, Warhammer Tribe, Machine Kingdom Building. 25 Arms, Giant Dragon, Tier 10, Centaur, Tier 4-4, Blade Spider, Tier 4, Goblin, Tier 1, Red Armored Fire Ant, 4th Tier 4, Slinger Giant, 7th Tier, Undead Knight, 7th Tier, Dragon Hunter, 8th Tier, Mountain Shaker, 9th Tier 9, Population 99 Timber, 12 billion Stone Mine, 12 billion Iron Ore, 16 billion Gold Coins, 30 billion Food, 530,000 Currency, 100,000 Upgrade Needs. Timber, Stone Ore, Iron Ore, and Gold Coins are 5 million each. Timber, Stone Ore, Iron Ore are all good, and there are more than 10 billion resources. Even Gold Coins, there are still 3 billion. However, the population of this territory is already approaching its peak. If you don't upgrade the territory, I'm afraid it will cause population saturation. Thinking of this, Suyi didn't stay idle, and even activated the territory upgrade. It will cost 5 million wood, stone ore, iron ore, and gold coins each, and the level of the star domain will be raised to level 7. It is estimated to take 240 hours. The system's notification sounded, and a progress bar appeared on the top of the Lord Hall of the star domain. Scrolling slowly, the upgrade time often reaches 240 hours. This is 10 days. Even if Suyi had a god level cooldown, it would take more than 2 hours to complete. I have to say, suffering. I have no choice but to sit and wait. By the way, take a break before the siege battle begins to recover your strength. Chapter 374 Level 7 Main City. 2 hours passed quickly. The upgrade of the star domain has been completed, and the progress bar suspended at the top of the Lord's Hall has disappeared. At the same time, outside the star domain, in the 4 directions of east, west, north and south, There were already roars of monsters. Suyi had been waiting in the sky above the star field, riding blazing now. He can easily overlook the entire battlefield in the four directions of the outer city of the star field. There are a lot of monsters approaching rapidly, densely packed. A large black mass what caught Suyi's attention the most was the east side of the star field. There's a flying legion there. There are a lot of them, at least over 30,000. It turned into a dark cloud in the sky and approached the star domain, although there are no flying units in the other directions of the city wall. There are quite a few ordinary units rushing towards them. Roughly estimated, the total number of monsters that invaded this city should not be less than 150,000. This is the pinnacle that has never been encountered in all the siege battles in the star field. However, Suyi was not worried. The star domain has long, strong walls. There are also various city defense weapons that are systematically distributed on the city wall. The most important thing is that there are dragons, storm spirits, mountain shakers and other high-level arms in the star domain, with them protecting the entire star domain. There is no need to worry too much about security issues at this moment. Suyi has already started to arrange tactics. The 30,000 flying units on the east wall are the most important, and they are the only offensive forces that can pose a threat to the star domain, so get these guys first. Secondly, the southern wall of the star domain has the most monsters, with a number of more than 70,000, accounting for half of the total number of monsters in the siege battle must also be taken seriously. In addition, the north and west walls are fine, and there are not many monsters, so they can be easily defended. After figuring out the distribution of the monsters, Suyi began to order 2,000 giant dragons, go to the east to resist the flying units, and make a quick decision. 1,000 dragons each, go to the north and west to garrison, and the rest of the troops, concentrate on the south city wall. Give an order, and all kinds of arms that have been preparing for a long time are starting to act at this moment. Thousands of giant dragons soared into the sky and flew in four directions. Storm spirits and mountain shakers climbed up the southern city wall in groups. Soon, the city defense equipment that has detected the appearance of monsters within the range has already started to attack. Among them is the Hannes cannon. This is the city defense equipment with the longest range in the star domain at this moment. It was roaring, sending out huge shells one after another, drawn arc from the air, and finally land in the monster camp tens of kilometers away. The shell exploded. The violent explosion force and the shrapnel flying around were the main factors that caused damage to the monsters. Some monsters that were closer to the impact of the shells didn't even react, and their bodies were torn into pieces and scattered all over the ground. The flying shrapnel turns into a sharp razor, and all obstacles it encounters. Among them, the bodies of monsters are included. The sound of explosions continued, and shells exploded in the strange camp. Don't wait. These guys have already died and injured a lot when they approached the city. It is worthy of being a first-class architectural blueprint, indeed powerful. To the east, the first batch of faster flying units have already approached the city wall. Start a fierce battle with the dragons stationed here. The fighting power of the giant dragons can be imagined, and they are fighting against these flying units whose rank is only 8th. It's like chopping melons and vegetables. I agree very much. Even if the number of the opponent is more than 10 times that of the dragon, but he was still killed. Corpses continue to fall from the sky like raindrops. Wet stump fragments are even more numerous. Battles also broke out on the north and west walls. A siege battle has begun. Suyi rides blazing and travels to and from various battlefields for command and deployment. Rather, it made the entire battlefield more orderly. The monsters kept dying, while Suyi's arms were upgraded in level and strength in the battle, especially Storm Spirit. These guys stood on the city wall, constantly releasing eyes of the storm one by one, detonating in the monster camp. The power is even greater than bombs. Hundreds of monsters died, and the massive experience points allowed their levels to increase rapidly. The entire battle lasted for about an hour, and it was over. All the monsters that attacked the star domain have been killed or injured, and there is not one left. A mountain of dead bodies lay outside the city walls, sadly, except for the 30,000 flying units on the east wall. The monsters in the other directions didn't even touch the city wall. It's all burped. With a complete victory, Suyi was delighted. Arranged a group of troops to go down to clean up the battlefield. As for himself, he returned to the Lord's Hall and opened the territory attribute panel. After the upgrade, the information panel of the star domain territory is as follows: Lord Hall, Lord, Suyi level 7 Sky Alliance, Cloud Territory, Red Rose Territory, Clearwater Territory, Galaxy Territory, Dryad Territory. Subordinate territories: Warhammer Tribe, Machinery Kingdom Building. 25 units, Giant Dragon, Tier 10, Centaur, Tier 4-4, Blade Spider, Tier 4, Goblin, Tier 1, Red Armored Fire Ants, Tier 4, Giant Stone Slinger, Tier 7, Undead Knight, 7th level, Dragon Hunter, 8th level, Mountain Shaker, 9th level 9, population, 99 timber, 12 billion stone mine, 12 iron ore, 16 billion gold coins, 29.100 million food, 210,000 currency, 100,000 upgrade required, wood, stone ore, iron ore, gold coins 200 million each. The population peaked at 20,000. This is the biggest change not long after. The resources dropped on the battlefield have been recovered. About several hundred million CE was also unambiguous, and went straight to the Storm Spirit Barracks. Currently, the information of the Storm Spirit Barracks is as follows. Storm Spirit Barracks, level, Tier 10 level. 5 units. 30 training template, Storm Spirit training cost. 200,000 gold coins, no special conditions. Training time. 24 hours required for upgrade, timber, stone, iron ore, gold ore each 1 billion, time 480 hours. Chapter 375 Searching for the Spirit of the Land. Currently, there are 3,000 Storm Spirits in the Star Domain. The training peak of the 5th level Storm Spirit Barracks is 5,000. In other words, there are still 2,000 training places. Without saying a word, Suyi started training, spent 3 billion gold coins and trained 150 Storm Spirits successfully. The notification sound fell, and the gold coin reserve in the Starfield territory has been reset to 0, leaving only a few hundred million. Shrugging helplessly, Suyi left the Storm Spirit Barracks as soon as he returned to the inner city. Suyi saw Sukainer and the Golden Tree Demon King wandering around the inner city. Obviously, they just rushed over from the territory of the Tree Demon at this moment. When the two guys saw Suyi, they immediately ran towards him. Brother, I have good news for you. Chapter 250. Suyi frowned. What is the good news? Sukainer pointed to the Golden Tree Demon King. It looks like the path to the secret land of plants. Suyi's eyes flickered. On the way to the plant's secret realm, before attacking the Machine Kingdom, Suyi went to the Tree Demon territory. At that time, Suyi wanted to increase the production of the spiritual field in the Tree Demon's territory. Then, the Golden Tree Demon King proposed a super spirit field plan. But to create a super spirit field, you need to use the spirit of the land. This thing is only available in the plant's secret realm. So, Suyi asked the Golden Tree Demon King how to get to the plant's secret realm, but this guy couldn't remember for a while. Today, this guy finally has some clues, and then under the leadership of Sukainer, he came to the star field to meet Suyi. How to get there and how long will it take? Suyi asked directly. The Golden Tree Demon King shook his vine-covered body. I remember walking east, reaching the seashore, and finding a small island, which is the entrance to the plant plain. As for how long it will take, I don't know, have no idea. The corners of Suyi's eyes twitched, a little speechless. Isn't there only one direction? But after thinking about it, Suyi was relieved. Although there's only one direction, it is better than headless flies. Well, find a time and come with me, Suyi said. Okay, Suyi eagerly said. What she likes the most is going on missions with Suyi, but this time, Suyi stared back at her as soon as she finished speaking. How are you doing? You stay and guard the house. You don't need to participate in this mission. Upon hearing this, Sukainer quit. Busy. What? The expansion of the Dryad's territory has just been completed, and the defense is in a weak period. You left. Do you want the Dryad's territory to fall? Suyi asked back. Suyi's face turned pale. Indeed, she is now in the domain of the Tree Demon, so she has to take on the responsibility of the Lord of the domain of the Tree Demon. It's fun to go on missions with Suyi, but in comparison, the Tree Demon's territory is more important. This is the granary of the Sky Alliance. Secondly, what Suyi said is also correct. The extension of the Dryad's territory has just been completed, and the city wall has increased by several kilometers. Defensive post sure must be greatly weakened. I don't know how long it will take to go to the plant's secret realm this time. What if it takes 10 days and a half months to go? What about the Tree Demon territory? Wanting to understand the pros and cons, Suyi pouted. Okay, then I won't go. I'll wait in the Tree Demon territory. Come back. Suyi nodded. That's right. Then, he explained some things to Sukainer, then let her go back to the Tree Demon territory. First, the Golden Tree Demon King, of course, stayed behind, and under Suyi's cross-examination, he told him everything he remembered about the secret realm of plants. Unfortunately, Suyi didn't get anything worth paying attention to. In desperation, he had no choice but to give up and tell the Golden Tree Demon King to remember well tonight and prepare. They leave tomorrow. The Golden Tree Demon King didn't dare to have any objections. He stepped aside to recall the past with his soles made of twisted tree roots, and Suyi rode blazing towards the gold mine before leaving the plant's secret realm. He needs to arrange things here in spite of whether it is the safety of the star field or the safety of the gold mine. Eve still needs to worry about it, of course. There is Andre, but for now, this guy's strength is outdated, and he can't be used as the main force after arriving at the gold mine. Suyu explained the situation to Eve when the latter heard that Suyu was going to the plant's secret realm. His beautiful eyes widened. "What are you doing there?" Suyu frowned. "Looking for the spirit of the land. You seem to know where it is from the way you look." Eve nodded. Her pretty face turned pale. "You're right, I do know. Not only do I know, but I've been there." Seeing Eve's uncharacteristic expression, Suyu instinctively guessed that there must be a story behind it. Sure enough, Eve then told Suyu something about her going to the plant's secret realm to say that this plant's secret realm is quite magical. Those living in it are all plant-type arms. Eve's story happened decades ago under the order of the Elf Queen. She is going to find a kind of medicinal material in the secret place of plants and bring it back to the secret place of the elves. Then, according to the map given by the Elf Queen, Eve successfully found the plant's secret realm. After entering it, Eve's elf shooter squad was attacked violently. The entire plant's secret realm is like a hole, whether you see a flower, a tree, or even a small grass of tens of centimeters. It may be a soldier or a monster. Surprise these guys when you walk past them, then prompt these guys to attack you. Although Eve's elf shooter team successfully completed the mission, the price was very high when leaving the plant's secret realm. Only Eve was left alive. The rest of the elves will stay in the plant mystery forever. Since then, plant mystery has been dubbed a terrifying name until now. She heard this term again from Suyu's mouth. Chapter 376, A Small Island in the Sea. Second watch subscription. It's dangerous there, can you not go? Eve said when Suyu heard this. The corners of her lips curled up, and then she laughed. Do you think I'm afraid of danger? Eve's face froze. What he said, but think about it again. Suyu's strength is several times, even dozens of times stronger than her. Back then he must not be as embarrassed as himself when he enters the plant's secret realm. Secondly, Suyu has already made a decision, and Eve cannot change it. Then I can only wish you a safe return, but please remember that once you encounter an irresistible danger, you must do so immediately. Get out of there, understand? Suyu nodded. Just joking. He is not stupid. He knows that there is a fatal danger, so it must be the best policy to run. By the way, do you know the spirit of the land? Suyu suddenly asked. The Golden Tree Demon King said that the spirit of the land is in the secret territory of plants, and Eve has been to the plant's secret realm, so she may know some news about the spirit of the land. Unexpectedly, after hearing the words, Eve shook her head. I haven't heard of it. Suyu shrugged. Okay. It seems that this spirit of the land is by no means an ordinary thing then. Suyu told Eve some things. It is probably to let Eve ensure the safety of the star field and the gold mine after she leaves. This time it's not going to fight. So Suyu doesn't plan to bring too many troops there. Just bring 100 of the most powerful dragons and store them in the troop ring. The rest will stay in the gold mine and the star domain, and be handed over to Eve to command. The latter did not refuse, and accepted Suyu's order. After arranging everything, Suyu hugged Eve and went to sleep. It wasn't until the early morning of the next day that he returned to the star field from the gold mine number 1 territory. The foolish Golden Tree Demon King is still there, contemplating. A lot of dewdrops have fallen from the crown of the tree above his head, making Suyu a little speechless. I don't remember anything, Suyu asked. The Golden Tree Demon King shook his head. I'm sorry, leader. No, Suyu waved his hand. Forget it, we're leaving now. You just need to lead me to the entrance. That's it, the Golden Tree Demon King responded, got up and set off with Suyu. Before departure, Suyu went to the dragon's nest and picked out 100 strongest dragons. Most of them are flame dragons after all. Even a plant is afraid of fire, so Suyu can get twice the result with half the effort with a giant flame dragon. When they were ready, the two set off riding blazing, heading straight to the east. The speed is fast this time. Suyu didn't know where the destination was, so it can only fly blindly in accordance with the direction pointed by the Golden Tree Demon King sitting on the blazing back, while blowing the strong wind. While scanning the land below, it has been more than a year since the era of the Lords came. Time has also entered the middle stage. In the dense jungles, plains, and valleys below, many territories can be seen everywhere, both big and small. The Lords who can persist until now have basically mastered the way of survival in this age of Lords. In the future, as long as you are not too unlucky, you can basically live for a long time. Of course, the premise is don't provoke those who can't afford it. Fly all the way east, and fly for 2 days. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.